Looks like we got a new friend!
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Last Nights on Earth, a Monster of the Week game by the wonderful Donovan Fry. Before we go around and say hello to all these wonderful faces around the screen, let's go through our usual channel announcements. Social links, check out our Discord, our Twitter, and our YouTube Discord for a safe, inclusive space where you can talk about TTRPGs and all the other wonderful things that go on in the community. Twitter, send me a DM and I'll get you into a game. Not this game, because it's full, but one of the other games before the end of March. So send me a DM and we will get you in. Also, we've got YouTube there. All of these games got up on YouTube before the next episode next week, so you can check them out on YouTube too, and you can go and catch up if you need to. Patreon. You can support us over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and we also have regular articles coming from Renee Rhodes, which are about TTRPGs and other things in the community, and they're free. You don't need to pledge to see them. You can just go and look and check them out. Also, we have merchandise. If you want to get a crest on your chest, head over to the Redbubble site, where you can get the crest slapped on pretty much anything, including tights, which I find particularly appealing. Not here currently, though, because I'm in a room that is 4 foot by 8 foot with a massive PC and 3 theatre lights, so I only wear shorts exclusively, even though it's -3 outside. What else do we have? We also have sponsors. We have sponsors in Bird in the Storm Publishing. Bird in the Storm Publishing are a content creator who create modules for D&D 5e and other TTRPGs. You can see Clearing the Midnight Wheel, the one shot that we played over Christmas, on the YouTube right now. It's live on YouTube. You can check it out. We also have sponsors in Mage Hand Press. Mage Hand Press made the Dark Matter Alpha. The Dark Matter Alpha is a sci-fi expansion for D&D 5e. You can use it to play in any of your sci-fi fandoms. We use it to play D&D in space. It's a ton of fun. We played Argo 37 last season. This season, completely legitimate business, is live at 10 PM EST on Thursday. You can tune in and check that out also. Lastly, well, second to lastly, we have panels with Arasivad.com, TabletopLoot.com, and RueInc.com down below the stream. Go and check those out for 10 to 15% discount on any of those websites using my codes. And also, we do have a tweet. Every 10 retweets unlocks a potion to be distributed at random to one of the crew. Now that is everything, and so I will hand over to the wonderful, illustrious Donovan Fry to introduce everyone. Oh, hi, Don.
Oh, hi. I don't think anyone's ever called me illustrious before, and I appreciate that. I needed that today.
You're welcome. You are very welcome.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Last Nights on Earth. If you haven't seen any of our previous episodes, this is a game powered by the Apocalypse system, Monster of the Week system, but it's a little light on rules. What we're doing here is we're telling a collaborative story, an improv story where we're building the world as we go. And so every week our characters travel to a new location in this post-apocalyptic version of modern America. And we discover a little bit more about the world and about their characters, and we build from there. It's been a lot of fun so far. But as you're playing today, if you know Monster of the Week, if you've played it before, it's very likely that you know it better than I do. So if I get any rules wrong or whatever, feel free to yell at me. But mostly, we just want to tell a good story here. And I've been lucky enough to play with some great folks so far. And I'm really excited to play with everyone today. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So what I'd like to do first is go around and we'll get to our two ongoing characters, Celeste and Rutherford, here in a few minutes. But first, I want to learn a little bit more about the new characters, the characters we'll be meeting here shortly. So I'm going to go around and one at a time, let me know a little bit about your character, what they look like, how they've navigated the apocalypse so far. And it has been just a little over a month since the virus hit and the world began to fall apart. And then let me know how long they've been in Pittsburgh, which is where our episode today will be taking place. I might ask you some follow-up questions as well, but I just want to get a feel for your characters before we get started. And hi, Ozzy. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm feeling a lot better now, and I'm excited to play in this game. And I will be playing Old Man Ape, who is most likely the oldest person on Earth, or maybe second oldest after Mother Abigail. Imagine Uncle Jesse from the Dukes of Hazzard TV series, and then imagine his dad. That's what Old Man Ape looks like. He's old, he's shriveled, it's literally just skin over bones, wearing a pair of denim dungarees stained with grease, hopefully, and a red Omoko baseball cap. And he's the only survivor of Leapers Fork, Tennessee. He buried all of his 4 generations of his family and all his friends. And then he went on to travel the land and help people as best as he could.
And would you say, how has the grief of what he's lost affected him?
He's, considering he fought in 2 wars, he was in World War II, he was in Korea, losing friends, losing people dear to him. It's always something that was part of his life. But he's definitely deep into the grief. And the only way he can sort of not get rid of it, but alleviate that feeling a little bit is helping others from their situation.
All right. And finally, does Old Man Abe have any opening moves that you'd like to use?
Yes, I would like to use my premonition.
All right. You can go ahead and roll that now, and then we'll bring it into play narratively here.
Okay. So I roll weird.
Plus weird. That's correct.
Also, big thank you to Kentucky Hawkeye and Mad Rogue who donate. Kentucky Hawkeye donates so that Father Sloan gets a reroll, and Mad Rogue donates so that Old Man Abe and Nora both have rerolls. These rerolls can be used on any dice that hit the table. Doesn't have to be yours. Any dice that hits the table, you can immediately ask for a reroll.
Well, I just rolled a 12, so that's a good start.
So for everyone who's watching who's not played before, premonitions and some moves and monster of the week are things that you roll at the very beginning of a session before you even get started. And for premonitions, you roll a weird roll. Weird is one of the stats in the game. And if it's high enough, they get a more clear vision of something that's going to happen, usually something bad. 12 is just about as good as you can roll. It's one of the highest rolls you can roll. So we'll get to that here shortly. But for now, let's go ahead and move on over to meet Father Sloan. Hi.
Well, good afternoon to you, my son. I'm Jim, or Other Doc on the various interwebs, and I will be playing Father Wayland Sloan. Is an Irish Catholic priest, and has been in America for quite a while. He came over decades ago with his family. He has a very large family that was some of which were already over here, and is just sort of did certain things. I mean, he's always sort of legit been a priest, but then off and on he's had certain things in his past that have driven him a bit away from that. So he has had time away from that, doing other things, things in various family businesses and what have you, and but has more recently returned to it. He actually returned to it before the apocalypse, since it seemed as though it would be best for his family and for just the sort of things that he was doing, that he keep up the role of the priest as best he could. And at some point, just during that whole thing, he kind of started believing it, because it was really it really felt like more core to his identity. And then the apocalypse happened, and unfortunately, he lost most of his family. He does still have somewhere a couple of grandkids. Father Sloan is in his 60s. He's in his early 60s. And so his children are gone. They were taken by the virus, and his other various siblings and cousins and what have you, most of them. But he does, he not really heard anything about his grandson and granddaughter. And he thinks they might still be alive. They might be in one of the big cities, and so he's going to look for them. But in the meantime, he has had a bit more of a calling recently. To not only to be helpful to people as a priest in these times of trouble, but also he kind of feels as though, well, quite in many ways, quite literally, God seems to have been speaking to him from time to time, and sort of directing him to do things that actually involve picking up some of his old skills, which was something he was not expecting. But he goes along with it because it's things that he knows how to do, and he seems to still be fighting evil, and so that's something that he thinks is very important to do at this point. And but really, it's the more the longer it's been, and the more he's been on this sort of stilted path, it seems as though he's come to a couple of conclusions. One is that at this point he can only just do the job that's in front of him, whatever it is, and not think too much about it. And two, God's a jerk sometimes. So that's it really sort of adjusted his whole theological view of the whole thing. And so this is very much his job. What he's doing is in the interest of protecting those who are still around that he cares about. Physical description, he has gray hair, sort of dark gray hair and a beard. He generally wears priest's garments, sort of nondescript shirt, black shirt and jacket, and a very large, very big overcoat. And sometimes when he's traveling, he's carrying around a big satchel.
Okay. So mentioning that God's a jerk, something tonally, if you're familiar with some of the inspirations for the world that we're in, Preacher, which the graphic novel series, or the TV show, they're both great. And Stephen King's The Stand, where heaven and hell are very real forces, but it's a little more gray as opposed to this is always good and this is always evil. God can be an absentee father, and when the world has ended, and nobody's done anything to stop it, what sort of God lets that happen? And that's a question for anyone who is a religious character specifically. Doesn't matter if it's Christianity or any religion. That's something I think, any religious character might wrestle with. And that's just something I thought I would mention. Does Father Sloan have any, has he conflicted with God? Has he argued with God?
Yeah, fairly often. It's at first he was very much just sort of, yes, Lord, of course. But then more recently, it's like he's gotten to the point he doesn't generally talk to God in front of people if he can help it, because he knows how crazy that looks. But in times of stress, it tends to happen sometimes. He's gotten to the point that since he was, kept talking to him and realized that God seems more of has more of a personality than he had expected. So it's just one of those things where it's like, he still definitely believes that it's God, but he argues with him all the time now, pretty much. It's he's actually still a little bit bitter about the whole apocalypse thing. And so there is some communication in that, but he does still trust that God has a plan, a sincerely messed up plan, but one that he just can't see all of at this point.
All right. And does Sloan have any starting moves in his playbook?
No starting moves. No, I took a couple of things, but they're not starting.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and move over. Hi, Ray. Tell us a little bit about Nora, and again, talk to us about how she's adapted to the apocalypse, what she looks like, and what's on her mind right now.
So Nora is a third-year journalism student from the University of Boston, but she's actually a Pittsburgh native. So about a week after the virus had started taking a toll, she started kind of worrying, and she started slowly making her way back down to Pittsburgh to try and reconvene with family and friends, to see what was going on, because she lost communication with a lot of them while, she was traveling. And so she's been in Pittsburgh for about 5 or 6 days, and she's still kind of having trouble finding and reconnecting with anybody that she knows, especially her mom and her older sister. And then she kind of has this really big conspiracy theory that the whole thing started from this military experiment gone wrong, and she's like trying to track down all this paperwork and all these like people that she wants to talk to, and she's eventually trying to make her way to New Orleans to see if there is a promise of finding other people who feel the same way as her, so that maybe they can tear down the system or find a cure or do something to help kind of reverse everything that's going on. She's short. She's like 4'11". She's got really long black curly hair. It's kind of like dusty and dirty, kind of like, matted in some parts because it's been a while since she showered. And she's kind of just wearing comfortable clothes, black jeans, a dirty white t-shirt, and a black hoodie. She's got some like Doc Martens on, and you can see like a boot knife kind of sticking out. And she carries like a dirty mustard yellow backpack that has like, she's got some throwing knives, some like weird food rations that she's found, and just like a bunch of like old papers, thing that she's found like in stores as she's kind of like just traveled back home, like just shoved in there, and just kind of like whatever she finds, it's just kind of like her big haversack.
So, what playbook is Nora?
She is the Flake.
Which we haven't had the Flake yet. It's a really fun playbook. Let me ask you this about her. As she's investigating and trying to figure out what's going on, she's come face to face with the reality that a lot of the people who have survived, and it's not many, most people perished from the virus, they've mutated in one of two ways. They've either developed weird psychic abilities that are oftentimes dangerous, or they've had extreme physical mutations like Rutherford, his character. Does she have a stance on that? How does she, is that she interested in finding out more about that, or does that scare her, or both?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's more interesting to her than scary, just because of her journalistic standpoint. She's more so like, I want to know more about this before I'm allowed to fear it. It's kind of like her first intention to just go straight at it and not quite think of the precaution that she should take. She's never yet met somebody who has been a mutant. It's just more so of like, if it's a person, it's a person here, there. And if it was a mutant, it was more of like, hey, we found, or we've seen this sort of person with this sort of ability, stay wary. So she hasn't quite come face to face with somebody who has kind of developed since the virus. So she's more than excited, but I think when it actually comes to happen, she's going to be quite terrified.
All right, great. So one final question for the three of you now as a whole. When we meet your characters here shortly, we will meet them in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the three of your characters will be together. So how do you think you came to be together? Did you all meet at the same time? How long have you been in the same area? And if you guys have made any opinions on each other, friendships, or you don't trust each other, now's a good time to throw something out there about that.
I'm going to be late.
Okay. Man, maybe I feel like I would have, in passing, probably met Father Sloan and kind of maybe asked him a couple questions from his perspective, maybe of what's going on, or if he's seen anything, or kind of meet him in that sort of like journalistic, like, I want to interview you. And then we just kind of like stuck around each other because there was no one else at the time.
Yeah, and I think that for some reason God thinks that it's important to protect Nora, or at least to help, to help her out at least. I don't know if protection is really necessary per se, but it's more just a question of like, apparently whatever it is, God won't tell me what it is, and kind of upset that he won't tell me. But apparently she's doing something important. So it's kind of one of those things where like, okay, it's just like, okay, fine, well, whatever. And so he'll be sticking around with you for a while.
Cool.
All right.
He seems very pleasant in general as things go. But and every now and then, if things get rough, he smiles a little too widely.
So you met then probably before everything completely fell apart, when things were starting to get bad, and you could still like go and interview people and talk to people and find people easily. And so maybe it's been a few weeks now, 2 to 3 weeks, that you guys have been traveling together. And if Nora is searching for answers and heading towards New Orleans, does that mean that Sloan is also intending to accompany her to New Orleans?
Yes, because I mean he wants to look there anyway, in case either of his grandkids showed up there. And the Lord seems to think it's a good idea, so may as well.
Great.
All
right. So I'm going to jump into it here, and then we'll introduce our 2 main characters in just a second. And we'll come back to the 3 of you here shortly. So no one knows where the virus came from, whether it was hatched in some secret military facility or if it was a plague sent to Earth to punish a world that had grown fat on its own corruption. All anyone knew was that Captain Trips first appeared on Christmas Eve, 2018, and by January 28th, 2019, the world as we knew it had ended. The airborne virus started like a common flu, but within 2 days, its victims' internal organs began to shut down until eventually their hearts exploded and they died. 99.82% of the world's population now has died due to the virus and the following collapse of society. America is a graveyard of rotting cities and ghost towns. Corpses still litter the silent streets and abandoned homes. Strange psychic powers and wild physical mutations have infected many of those who have survived the virus itself, and these mutations are a great source of fear, panic, and anger for some of the normal, unaffected survivors. There is maybe some hope on the horizon, though. Throughout America, there are rumors that 2 cities, Las Vegas and New Orleans, have become havens for survivors, and many are traveling across the country in hopes of finding food, security, and a better tomorrow. And before we jump into this week, Celeste and Rutherford, you are again traveling. It's been a week since your adventures in Cumberland, Maryland. Very briefly, introduce us to your characters. Let us know what they look like and what thought is most immediately on their minds right now. I will start with Celeste.
Okay, so Celeste is mid-20s with the virus. Her hair turned white, so she has wild curly hair, just roughly chopped off in a not very fashionable but practical way. Wearing leather jacket, just t-shirt, jeans, quite roughed up by now. Leather boots, having always her knife by her side and her gun. And just in case someone wants to know, it's the handbook. That's a good idea that I'm telling that the wronged. Jesus Christ. And immediate thought at the moment, find our friends.
Excellent. And with Celeste in the driver's seat, we go to the passenger seat and Rutherford.
Rutherford, oversized, a very large man. His body and face have been disformed by this mutation. He has fangs rather than teeth, or maybe not fangs, maybe just more of a... His mouth looks more like that of maybe a dog's than a human's. But otherwise his face looks fairly human. Hairy, but human. Very muscle-bound, wearing a poncho to cover most of his body, as he's found most clothes don't really fit him anymore. He's sort of looking into the middle distance, feigning concern Well, no, not feigning concern. There's genuine concern for his little sister, who he desperately wants to find. But he found a nice distraction in the last place that is also occupying a small part of his brain, which I suppose he feels a little guilty about.
So, to speak a little bit about what's come before, you've both spent the past week recovering from a car crash and other injuries at the hospital in Cumberland, Maryland. And Celeste, you worked with a special agent well-versed in the occult named Penny Dorr. And you've been learning more about a gang of mutants that, like your brother, sort of look like werewolves and are somehow involved with the disappearance of your friends, maybe your sister. You've discovered a few clues after defending the hospital against 2 of the werewolves. And what you found is that they were trying to kidnap a man named Frank, a new friend of yours who had developed incredible psychic powers of healing. You also believe that the werewolves may have kidnapped your friends from New York City as well, and they vanished after a car crash and your first encounter with the creatures. What you don't know yet is why. After 2 of the werewolves were killed, you searched their bodies and you found identification that suggested they were residents of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so, hoping to find answers, you've decided to drive west to Pittsburgh. Now, during your time in Cumberland, both of you came to realize that the sleepy mountain town was becoming a sort of beacon of hope in a grim world. That was thanks to the efforts of those running the hospital itself, especially Frank and Fiera. More and more survivors are taking up residence in Cumberland, which does have very limited resources. So when you were packing up to leave town, Frank was talking a lot about waiting until the weather warms up a bit and then getting everyone in town together, helping them pack, and then traveling west to Las Vegas in one big caravan. When you left, though, they were still in Cumberland. And we begin our story today in a reappropriated white armored van, its interior still stained with blood from a week-old gunfight. The van is maneuvering through highways choked with stalled, lifeless vehicles as it approaches the Fort Pitt Tunnel that leads through the mountains and into the city of Pittsburgh. Celeste is driving and Rutherford is in the passenger seat. And Rutherford, you found yourself thinking about that bittersweet goodbye that you made just a few hours ago in Cumberland. What is that memory for him?
Well... Sorry, can someone remind me, Sassy, of Sandra's character name?
Fiera.
Fiera, that was it, yeah. He had found Fiera didn't really treat him like a monster. It was special to him because she was joking with him and laughing and treating him like a normal person, much like his sister does, but she's certainly the only person who's done that since the change. It's only been a month, but a month of people taking one look and running scared takes its toll. So he was quietly infatuated with her a little bit. Maybe infatuated is the wrong word, but he was very happy to be in her company. Something that he doesn't really understand, something he's never really explored. But he enjoyed it, and when they said goodbye, he was very much telling her to look after yourself. You have to look after yourself so that, you know, you could look after the doctor and Frank, and we will return. We will come back, and we'll make sure that everything is okay here. And but you have to keep yourself safe. He never really touched on the way he was really feeling. Probably didn't know how to, and I'd like to think that she almost certainly didn't know.
So this is what...
dwelling on that,
yeah. This is what he's thinking as you're driving closer and closer to the city. And Celeste, you behind the passengers or behind the driver's wheel, this highway is choked with cars, and there's points where you've had to get out of the car, probably to rely on Rutherford's strength to move other cars out of the way so that you could drive through. But finally, you are approaching the tunnel, and the Fort Pitt Tunnel is a very famous tunnel. It leads through the mountains and to one of the most scenic and beautiful views of any American city on the other side of the tunnel. But because of the failure of infrastructure, the tunnel's currently dark. There's no light. As you approach, you find yourself creeping up on it slowly in your armored van, but you can't see into the tunnel itself.
That's nice. I will just turn to Rutherford. You're ready to go in? To the darkness, as it seems.
Yes, despite the way my eyes look, I can see in the Xeno better than you can, sister.
Well, we can see a little bit. I will just have to drive carefully, and we need to hope that there's not too much clutter inside, that we can get through quite quickly.
Headlights on full beams all the way.
Mm-hmm.
As you descend into the mountainside with only the lights of your high beams to provide the path forward, again, it's choked with cars, but there is a small path through, almost as though, and it's along one side of the tunnel. It's along the left side of the tunnel. It's almost as though someone has cleared the path before, so that you can get in and out of the city, but it is a tight fit, especially for your armored van, and I need you to make me a cool check.
Both of us?
No, just Celeste right now. So in Monster of the Week, a roll of 7 and higher is a success. A roll of 10 and higher is a success without any complications. A 9 does provide some complications. As you are driving along this tunnel for a second, the front of your armored van gets caught and wedged between the wall of the tunnel and another car, and you can feel your back wheels pick up and start to spin. You're not making any forward progress, and you come to the realization that you're going to have to get out of the van and move the car next to you to squeeze through.
Slight cursing on Celeste's side. We are stuck.
It's okay, I'll go and try and move it again.
Be careful.
Do we have a flashlight in here somewhere?
Yeah, I would say
glove
you guys would have left with flashlights.
Yeah. So. I'll just flash the flashlight around the spaces I can't see before I get out. I've learned caution.
And I will have the window down and gun at hand just in case.
So you shine the flashlight through your window out to the car, and basically there's a sedan, a smaller vehicle that's just wedged into the road in front of you. Unlike the rest of the cars, it's not quite moved entirely out of the way, so it's blocking your path forward. As you shine your flashlight, Rutherford, through your window to the sedan that's blocking you, that you'll have to move, you see in its driver's seat a body decomposed badly. You've seen a lot of bodies in your time, but right now a realization sort of comes over you here in the dark of the tunnel that probably most of these cars have bodies in them right now. It doesn't move.
I realize that we are probably in some kind of tomb and maybe feel a little dirty and disrespectful, but I don't say anything because I don't want Celeste to feel the same way. So I'll just hop out and go and start trying to roll that car out of the way.
Sure. You hop out of the passenger side and you approach the sedan. You can feel the wind whipping through the tunnel. It's snowing lightly outside. It's still very cold. Not quite as cold as it was a week ago, but still very cold. And you can hear the drip, drip, drip of water somewhere in the dark falling from above onto the metal of the cars. You get to the sedan, and you're going to attempt to move it out of the way. Just give me a tough check.
Yeah, I mean, he'd first give it a push against the wheel axes to see if the handbrake's off and if it's going to be an easy job. But if not, he'd probably just try and roll it.
Okay, give me a sharp then.
Damn it, I'm worse at sharp. Why did I do that?
It's not going to be easy, but you are able to turn the wheel and to kind of make it a slightly less strenuous push. It's still the way that the car is tilted and how it's wedged against other cars. It's going to take a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, but you will be able to do it. And Celeste, you're watching your brother work on getting this car out of your path. Is Celeste doing anything inside the van?
Just looking around and trying to see in the spotlights of the car if anything starts moving. I didn't hear John. Was it just my line?
Oh, no. Yeah, roll me a cool check.
Not cool.
You don't see anything move beyond the headlights of your car. But as you're staring forward, focused on what's outside of the car, you don't see until the last moment of the periphery of your vision what's inside the car, sitting in the passenger seat next to you. A man, long, curly, dark hair, jean jacket, blue jeans, feet crossed, one foot, one boot up on the dashboard, the other crossed over his leg. And he's leaning back in the seat, looking at you and smiling.
I could imagine her really jumping at that because she was focused outside and now especially him next to me. So I could imagine her like hitting the horn just by like, what the hell?
Rutherford would definitely hear that, yeah.
Well, he'd be on alert as soon as he hears his sister cry out. He would be shining his flashlight straight away into the.
That's the main question. We never tried. Does Rutherford see something? Probably not.
Rutherford, roll me a sharp check.
Seven.
It's weird. For a moment as you're turning around, you think you see someone in the van with your sister. But it's dark. You can't see through the window very well.
Okay, well, if I think I see someone in the van, I'll hurry back to the cab. Try and help out.
And Celeste, what do you do?
Open the door, stepping outside, leaving the door open, just 2 steps to get away from him, and just whispering, "Get out of the car. Leave me alone."
You look back as you're stepping out.
No, I was there at our friend. Not friend, but well, just stepping out backwards, still looking at him.
You hear, just as you whisper, and as Rutherford pulls open the passenger side door, the driver door that you just stepped out of shuts behind you. Rutherford, you swing open the passenger door. There's nobody in there.
Celeste, what is it?
I don't know. He calls himself friend. The guy I saw in the hospital and tried to shoot was there again. You can't see him?
No, I can't see a thing. Is he still there?
Can I try to open the door?
The door creaks open, and you pull it open and look inside, and he's not there.
He's gone. I'm sorry for the scare.
No, it's okay. Was he solid?
Well, for me, it looks like he's real, just sitting next to me. Don, I did get a gift from Penny when we left, right? Okay.
She gave you a pair of her glasses, right? Her
Yeah.
middle glasses.
Exactly. So for next time, I will try to keep that in mind. I didn't even think about using Penny's gift to see and make the difference.
I did not think that they would follow us on the road. It's troubling.
He seems to know exactly where I am.
Perhaps we should do an inventory check?
Here, I think we should first get out of the tunnel and then find a place to stop. And then I'm with you. Let's go through, but I don't know what he should be linked to. I've never met that man in real life. He only appeared just right in front of me saying he knew me, us.
Okay, well, I'll continue moving the sedan, but at least gather the weapons.
Having my gun in my hand.
Good. And I'll hurry back and try and move the car with more vigor. In fact, as I've got a bit of distance, I might even just try and like shoulder check the thing out of the way, just charge at it.
Give me a tough check.
And I will stand basically next to the car, but with door open, that I can't close, but not sitting inside.
You can hear, Celeste, the drip, 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 drip of water as the surrounding, whatever water is around this tunnel, is beginning to leak through. And you don't see the man again, but you always feel like you're being watched. Rutherford, you are able to push the car out of the way. You do it very quickly now as you're just relying on brute strength. And once you do, the path is clear for you to continue to drive forward. And if you're just stare now, squint, you can just make out the pinpoint of light that might be the outside at the end of this tunnel.
I can see the light. We are clear. Let's get out of here.
Let's do that. I will get into the car same time as Rutherford. She is spooked out.
Yeah. Before we get in, Rutherford would like to just quickly check that at least the back doors are still closed in the van. Just want us to make sure the vehicle's secure.
They are. They are closed.
Well, now I am certainly freaked out. Come on, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's do that. Some light might be good. Sunshine. Well, kind of. On we go.
You drive slowly still. It's a tight fit through the tunnel and out the other side. And that's when you reach the view of what's called the Golden Triangle. It's a view of downtown Pittsburgh with the river beneath you as you go over a long bridge. And like the tunnel before it, the bridge has been cleared out enough in an organized way so that you can get through. You don't see any movement or anybody present. As you're passing by, it's more cars filled with bodies, some of them abandoned, some of them destroyed as though they'd been burned or overturned, looted. But you do see as you get a little bit closer to the edge of the tunnel now, and it's mid-afternoon, edging on late afternoon on a dark, cloudy January day, that there's a section of the downtown in the distance that seems to have lights on. Their buildings seem to have electricity. Most of Pittsburgh is just a ghost city, though.
I will point out that part. Do you think we should go there? Maybe some more of the werewolves are around and can give us some answers.
You have always been better at choosing directions. I just want to find our sister.
Let's see if they know anything.
Okay.
And we will head for that part of town.
It takes you some time to get there, but you do eventually. It's starting to turn to twilight now. Evening is coming. It's not dark yet, but you know that you're probably only 45 minutes away from darkness. And as you reach the powered section of the city, you still don't see any signs of movement on the street. But as you're turning the corner, you will see a PNC bank. And sitting outside of the bank, an armored white van identical to yours, at least at a glance. It's parked.
Looks familiar.
Yes, indeed.
Can I just roll slowly past the bank? Do I see anyone inside?
You can't see anyone through the glass doors of the front of the bank, but you do see that it's lit on the inside.
Should we check it out?
I feel like we will get into trouble, but if there's only one van...
I doubt we'll get answers if we're not trying to cause some trouble.
That's a good point. I just don't want to bite off more than I can chew.
Yes, is that?
Quote, huh?
A bit. You can chew quite a bit. And it's only one car, as you pointed out, so... I will just park a little bit behind, or just passing by it and parking the car.
All right. And as you pull the car up to a stop and park behind the other near the bank, let's cut now and bring in Father Sloan and Nora. Where do they find themselves this evening in downtown? What's left of the powered section of Pittsburgh?
Oh, geez.
Is there something you need here, or you're looking for?
I mean, just at this point, I'm looking for more people. I'm just trying to figure out where to go next, where people might be heading next.
Oh, I probably at some point suggested looking for the bars, because sometimes people go to where they find the most comfort. I suggested that first before I suggested church. Strange that.
So maybe then it's at like a pub bar that you find yourself at this evening, and you don't find any people there at the bar, but you have found some food that's not been looted in the back. And I'll say this, because we had our first potion come in, thank you for all the retweets. I rolled a little bit ago, and Nora, you won the potion.
Yay.
It was potion 88. And what you find in the bar is 48 hours worth of drink and food. So supplies are hard. And to leave Pittsburgh, one of the things you needed was traveling provisions so that you could go on. And you've now found frozen food in the back of a freezer that it's the sort of like pre-made burgers and whatnot that a real cheap pub would have. And you find some booze, Father Sloan, if that's what I'm guessing.
Oh, that was where he went first.
Maybe I read that wrong. Yeah. So you've been here now for a little while, still not found any people in Pittsburgh, but I'll say this, roll me let's call it a sharp. You can each roll me this. I think because you've both been looking, and maybe it's been as the apocalypse has gone on longer and longer, finding other people has become harder and harder. It's been a few days since you've seen anyone else alive but each other. And that's why both of you hear it before you see it, the sound of tire stopping. And you look out through the window of this pub and you see an armored white car pulling up and parking across the street outside of a bank. There's a second white van as well.
I'm just sort of creep up to the window very quietly and just sort of watching through. I'm assuming there's like a curtain or something somewhere. And so I'm not going for like the plate glass front. I'm just sort of looking out through somewhere from concealment and sort of watching them to see kind of what's going on.
You see, well, what's Nora doing? Is Nora staying back?
I'm gonna come up to like the opposite side. I'm gonna draw. I have a 9mm that I keep with me, like in my back, like the back holster of my pants. So I'm gonna kind of like draw that and just keep a low profile. Just, you know, kind of look over to Father Sloan, just go like quiet, and then just kind of peek up and see what else is going on.
Yeah. You will notice Father Sloan is also reaching into his coat for something. You know he's got something in there, at least one whiskey flask, but he also he's got his hand in there very solidly.
So as you are looking out through, peeking through this curtain, so it's not evident, you're not just blatantly standing in front of this window, you'll notice first Celeste exit the driver's side of the van, get out. And she looks fairly normal. In terms of survivors, you know, obviously she's dirty and a little worse for wear, but she's not the one who really catches your eye. It is Rutherford as he gets out of the car. And I don't know if Father Sloan has seen a mutant, but we established earlier that Nora has not, correct?
Yeah, right.
Has Father Sloan?
Yes, there is a thing that is down on my sheet actually where there was an encounter with one. So it is something that I've hit before. So I'm just sort of instantly just sort of on my guard when I see Rutherford come out.
He is a large wolf man. I mean, this is something he looks like. Maybe the poncho makes him a little less intimidating looking, but he looks like a monster out of a movie.
Nora's gonna immediately kind of like run away from the window and grab, she has some like paper and some pens inside of her backpack, and she's gonna run back to the window and just start sketching what he looks like and just writing down what she sees and kind of like feverishly like shaking, like her hands kind of shaking and wobbling as she does it. And she just kind of like looks over to Father Sloan and she like keeps scribbling and she goes, what is that thing? What is that thing?
Trouble. I'm sort of digging through I don't know if I've picked up anything resembling silver bullets. Probably not. But there are things that I've perhaps read recently that when it didn't indicate those might be helpful in a situation like this. And so I'm just sort of looking through and I was like,
I think this is a good point for me. In the pub, in one of the booths, the air starts to shimmer and there is a pop. And suddenly there is an old man lying there on the seat. He's the oldest man you've probably ever seen, clad in dirty denim dungarees, a dirty checked shirt. He's clutching one of those walking aids. It's like a cane, but has 4 feet, so it stays standing up when you let go. And on that walker is a sheath for a gun, for a rifle.
And
he slowly wakes up, opens his eyes.
okay.
Where the hell am I now?
Yeah. As you look over, you see that a priest is pointing a .38 at you.
yeah, I immediately turn around and I'm pointing my 9mm at him.
So,
Don't. I come in peace. Where am I? Tell me where I am, please. Tell me where I am.
A few things happen now in this moment before we continue. First, I want a weird check from Nora and Sloan. So, was Abe there before, or did he just appear there?
He just appeared.
And the both of you have a sinking feeling that that's the case. As strange as that sounds, that you couldn't have missed him. Like, he was not there a moment before. And Abe, as you're waking up, you're remembering what you dreamed about the moments before you got here. You were driving across a long bridge. There's a figure in the car with you. Can't remember what they looked like, but something about them terrified you, was deeply unsettling. And you're driving over this long bridge over a body of water much greater. This isn't the Pittsburgh River. This is ocean. And you can see in the distance behind you in the rear view mirror, the city of New Orleans. Now, Abe has traveled a lot, especially recently. Has he seen New Orleans?
He's not been to New Orleans. Yeah, go on.
When Abe experiences a dream like this, is he active in the dream or is he a bypasser?
It's a vision. It's just a bypasser. He sees events that are unfurling, have unfurled. But he knows that usually he needs to be there.
And does Abe have any phobias?
Too many. He's seen too much, or rather, not anymore, because he's seen it all.
There's something about the figure that's driving the car beside you, and you can't see them. They're in the dark. It's nighttime. You can only see the lights of New Orleans in the rearview mirror as you're driving away. But you haven't seen this. And there's a deep feeling of dread that you experience in this vision, a feeling that maybe Abe hasn't had for a long time. And you only see it through the mirrors, the car rear mirrors, but it's enough to blind you. You watch as New Orleans explodes in a ball of fire, and rising from it is a mushroom cloud.
This provokes bad memories from Japan.
And as you wrestle with those memories, and as your eyes are burning just from the reflection of a nuclear bomb being set off so close to you, and you can feel the wind and the rushing force slam into the back of your car, and you can sense the mirth, the eagerness of whatever this entity is sitting beside you. Abe wakes up, and he is in a pub, and he immediately has two guns on him.
Oh, I come.
How did you get here? Who are you?
Where am I? Where am I?
A heck of an entrance, friend. Seems you didn't know where you were headed, eh? You want a drink?
Yeah, I'm just gonna
A drink would be lovely. He reaches out and has a sip.
Now then, you're in Pittsburgh. Is that helpful?
Oh, that's far away. I went to sleep in Miami last night.
Miami? How did you get from Miami to here? Where did you?
Don't ask me, it just happens.
Heck of a hangover you have. Maybe you'd better go easy on that stuff.
I don't drink usually because
oh, you don't know what you're missing.
well,
I just take my flask out briefly and I take a hit off of it and I put it back in my pocket.
Nora's picking up her notebook now that she was sketching on before and starts now writing things about this mysterious old man.
Abe holds out the hand towards Father Sloan, who's clearly struggling trying to get up.
All right, seeing the walker, the cane and all that, very cautiously, Sloan will put his gun away, and he will help Abe up.
Oh, sorry.
So, just sort of happens to you, wind up in random cities, do you?
It's been happening since the virus.
What did you just say?
It's been happening since the virus.
Rather lot's been going on that can be hard to explain. It's understandable. It's kind of rough for all of us. And I sort of, while this is going on, I sort of am glancing back out the window to see if that.
Don, none of the two people I see now do look in any way like the person in the car in my dream.
No.
Okay. Good.
And Sloan is looking out through the window. What's Nora doing?
Nora is just kind of, she's still sitting. So like when she turned around to see Father Abe, she kind of like fell and was sitting and was just like holding her gun out and sitting, and then put it down and picked up her notebook and just started like writing about what he looked like and what it was like when he popped into the room. And she's just kind of like almost shell-shocked, because she's now coming to the realization that she might have just saw not only her first, but now her second mutant in very close proximity. And she's kind of just in a shell shock right now, just kind of taking the situation in.
Perfect. So as Sloan looks through the window, let's bring back in Rutherford and Celeste as they've just gotten out of the van. I'll have each of you make me a sharp check. The two of you. Perfect. So the both of you are paying attention to the bank where the other white van was sitting outside of. You can see that the lights are on, and as you're approaching and taking a look at the door, you can see that the inside set of, there's two glass doors, the inside set of the doors has been propped open with a rock. You don't see any body on the inside of it, and you don't notice Father Sloan looking at you from across the street.
It occurs to me that after the apocalypse, unless people are particularly hanging on to the old days, they may not be looking for money, but perhaps one of the safes would be a good place to hide.
Maybe. Should we move in carefully?
Carefully, yes.
I have my hunting rifle up and will carefully step in.
Rutherford, you head in behind her or in front of her?
I will head in front. Celeste shoots from the back. I stay in the middle as a, well, usually I guess as a meat shield, although now that I actually say it, it doesn't say it's very good on my tongue.
And Father Sloan, this is what you see. You see them draw weapons, prepare themselves, and then cautiously enter the bank. They don't seem to have noticed you across the street.
I just sort of turn back. Oh, it looks like they're going to try to hit the bank.
The bank. Why would they go into the bank? There's no use for money right now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they want to hide in the vault or something.
Yeah. Well, if they got to crack it, it's going to take them a little while, unless they already got the codes out there somewhere. Interesting. Wonder what they're after.
Do you think we should go follow them to see what they're after? Or do you think that's too dangerous?
Well, too dangerous these days is rather on a bit of what I'd call a sliding scale.
I would say that's fair enough. I mean, but we should be cautious. That thing, I don't know what it could be, but it doesn't seem too safe to be too close to it without figuring it out first.
No, well, yeah, they vary. Depends on its temperament, I suppose.
Well, either way, we should just be extremely cautious if we are going to engage in any way.
Agreed.
Yes.
You be quiet, old fella. You're any good at that?
Any good at what? Sorry.
Be moving quietly.
I can if I must.
All right. I mean, if you need to hover here, we can go check it out.
To go.
But I know one thing. I say, glancing over at the van. If nothing else, there are now a couple of vehicles out there we can always make off with if need be. If it comes down to it. Not that.
Is that other one yours?
Approves theft in most circumstances, but when one is in dire need.
Well, if the owner's dead.
Indeed.
I want to turn to Old Man Abe and just I'm gonna kind of glare at him, just be like, so that disappear, reappear into new cities thing, is that all you can do, or should we be prepared for some other trick you may have up your sleeve?
Well, that's not really something I have control over. I can use that. And he points at the rifle. And this takes out a monkey wrench from his tool belt. I can defend myself if necessary.
Alrighty.
And some other things.
Just, I got my eye on you. Just be wary.
I'm not going to do anything to you. You seem nice.
She's just gonna turn around and just look out the window again.
I think at this point, they've gone inside the bank.
Okay. Are we heading out then?
I think so. Just sort of cautiously, sort of checking. I check my bag real quick and make sure that it's in a place where I can move around and it won't detach, and slowly, cautiously start heading out. And,
Yep.
Trying to follow them. And I do say, as we head out, do be careful. Do try and keep a distance at first. You can probably smell us if we get too close.
So
Yeah.
You mean that skin man over there?
The big one.
Yeah. Yeah, the big fella. Yes,
Yeah.
Sometimes they can do that.
So the three of you are trying to follow quietly without being spotted or seen or smelled. You can all roll me cool checks.
Oh. Can I use my reroll?
Use your reroll, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to reroll that as well.
All right.
Okay, much better.
I think I'm using my reroll too now.
Oh no! We're not a very stealthy bunch.
All right.
It works
Give me
for
that
everyone
reroll.
else. Yeah, you can re-roll as well.
That is a complete reversal of fortune for
Return on investment.
That's
Thank you
amazing.
very much, chat.
Thank you.
So you cross the street and follow into the bank. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You don't see them inside. As you enter into the bank behind them, we're going to cut back to Celeste and Rutherford. You enter into the bank, and there are a few bodies here. They're old, decomposed bodies, just like you would find elsewhere. I don't want to say that you've grown accustomed to the smell. It's hard to grow accustomed to that smell. But at first, there's nothing off about this place. And then you notice that there's a door open that leads behind the glass partition where you would go up to the bank teller and exchange account information, get money, deposit money. The way there to the back is unlocked. The door's open.
Is it me, or does this all seem too open, too easy?
Quite a bit. And if it's guys like our friends we got, they might have heard us approaching.
My thoughts too.
Is there anything lying around that I could basically like throw inside just to see what happens? Through the door.
You can grab like a pin well, like a pin container.
Yeah, something with a bit of weight to it that I could throw in. And just look at Rutherford. Do you want to throw it inside, or should I?
Depends. Do you want it to make a very loud sound, or do you just want to see what happens when it hits the ground?
I just want to see what happens when it hits the ground. Good point. And I will just throw it and see what happens.
The plastic bounces against the cold floor inside the partitioned room, bounces up, slams into a wall. You hear the tap, tap, tap as it slowly stops. You think you hear a gasp, something.
Seems there is someone inside. Just to be crazy, I don't know how good your nose is, but do you by any chance can smell some furry friends?
With this curse, I only really gained speed, maybe some strength.
Okay.
But I can try. I'm gonna try and give a sniff, although what I'm telling you, Keeper, is that I don't have any
special
skills.
abilities. Yeah. Just give me a sharp check.
Well,
you're not sure if maybe you're developing new abilities or if it just hits you in this moment, but you smells like something else like you. Like when you smell your own fur, you've come accustomed to what you smell like. It's that wet dog smell, and you smell it through the door as well.
There's definitely a mutant in there.
Question is it a good one or a bad one?
Try to parlay. They already know we are here. We threw a thing. They tapped.
Why not?
Hello. I am like you. There is no need for us to be enemies. Do you still have your senses about you?
There's no answer.
I have a real bad feeling about this.
Me too, but I want to find our friends and I want some answers. I will step forward one step. Not quietly, just really making a step.
I'll put my hand in front of Celeste and be like, no, that's me. And I'll step into the room. Hello? I know you are here, I can smell you.
As you enter into the back, you see what you couldn't have seen before because there's a counter that's a certain height and then the glass partition. It's beneath the counter, behind the counter, 2 werewolves, both incredibly dead. One of them, their head's been smashed in by some extreme force so powerfully that there's very little left above their neck. The other one is stretched out back up against the counter, head back, and their face, neck, shoulders, upper torso are covered in spiders. And those spiders are crawling over the figure, but you don't have to look too hard to know with its mouth agape, this creature is dead. And beyond the 2 of them, shivering, leather jacket, much too large for him, wrapped around his body is, looks like a young teenage boy, maybe 13, maybe a little younger, very skinny, very pale, his cheeks sunken in, probably from not eating enough. And he's sort of shaking back and forth, rocking slightly. He looks at you for a moment as you turn the corner and then stops rocking.
You there, I do not know what happened, but I mean you no harm. Are you injured?
He shakes his head slowly. He looks wary of you.
Are you safe here? Are you looking after yourself?
He stares at you for a long moment, as if he's deciding something. Has Celeste followed up behind you?
Yeah, I would have. As soon as I would have seen the boy, lowered my rifle and stepped forward next to Rutherford.
As you turn the corner and enter into the back room, that's when Father Sloan, Nora, and Abe enter into the bank. You see these 2 figures turn the corner into this back partition. They haven't seen you yet. You hear Rutherford call out to the boy. You don't see the boy, the 3 of you, as you enter, but he seems to be talking to somebody back behind the partition. And finally, his eyes bouncing from Rutherford to Celeste, he answers Rutherford's question, "Are you safe here?" with another shake of his head.
You're not safe here.
Are you the only one here, or is there anyone else?
He nods his head.
Did you do this to them?
He shakes his head.
Would you like to come with us?
He nods his head.
I will just stretch out my hand.
He doesn't take it at first, but then he gets up, still wrapped in that leather jacket. It's obviously not his, must have belonged to somebody else, must have found it somewhere, and stretches his little skinny arm through the sleeve and reaches out and grabs your hand. And his hand is bony, it's cold. He doesn't look healthy.
I guess I would have at least stocked up on some kind of snacks, bars, on whatever we could find, because it's easy for transport. And I would just pull one out, hand it to him.
Wasn't Cumberland a mountain town? Would there have been woods and things around? Because I've done some hunting. Maybe found us some real food.
Yeah, and Cumberland was a little bit of a society too. It was a small, but they had people there. They had people who cooked. They had people who gathered supplies. So when you were sent on your way, you at least had a few days of supplies with you, and it's only been half a day for you.
Although I would
So
guess,
so yeah, you have some snacks and real food. Yes.
I think the real food is probably still in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess we wouldn't have taken everything with us. Let's find a place that looks safer and better than this, and get you a bit to eat and to drink and to get you warm. Okay. I will just kneel down in front of him, or basically lower myself to more of his height. And I am Celeste. What is your name?
He opens his mouth to answer you. He even seems to mouth words, but no sound comes out. Roll me a sharp check.
I will use my reroll.
Okay.
Not really helping.
Well, 7's technically a success.
Yeah.
So you focus on his lips as he's mouthing something. You can't make everything out, but you think that a couple of times, maybe Joey, seems like he might be mouthing one of those words in answer to you. But as your complication, you continue to not notice the 3 newcomers to the bank. Now, what's Father Sloan, Abe, and Nora doing as they start to witness the scene that's sort of happening behind this glass partition of the bank?
Nora's kind of like low crouched, kind of like hidden in a corner, just watching at this point, like was very wary, but kind of seeing the extension of like friendship out towards this little boy. She's kind of like just kind of seeing how the situation unfolds, so she's staying back and low and quiet.
Yeah.
Abe's just watching.
Yeah.
Getting ready to act if need be.
Yeah. I think Father Sloan's doing similar. I mean, is having seen that was that they're trying to help somebody, and that it's otherwise he's gonna be a little less wary of them specifically, but he will still be, depending on physically where things are in the bank. I don't know if there's an opportunity for this. I'm guessing that, yeah, anything now. That he's just going to look around for anything that he may need to use as a weapon, if it comes down to it, while this is going on, and just taking up a defensive position somewhere where he can kind of just see and still get to the door quickly if need be, or get people out.
You're able to find like a spot where there's a cubicle, and you would sit down there to sign up for a new account, maybe. And you, from around the cubicle, you have some cover and a straight line of vision to the door itself.
Excellent.
So roll me Abe, roll me a weird check, and Nora, roll me a sharp check. Cool. All of you hear static crackle, and it's coming from behind the partition. So Celeste and Rutherford, you hear it closely, and as you you look towards it.
So this is the room the people they were speaking to were in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But the door's open, so you can hear the crackle from inside. And Nora, you recognize it as the sound of a walkie-talkie. Celeste and Rutherford, you see the walkie-talkie. You hadn't noticed it before. It was kind of trapped under the body of one of these werewolves, the one whose head had been smashed in. But you can see it now just sticking just out of underneath his torso. And we'll get to Abe here in a minute, and something else happening.
This will maybe provide us some of the answers we were looking for.
Do you want to grab it?
I'll go grab it. I'll just tug it out from under. I'm not going to answer it for now, just loop it under my belt.
Okay. You have the boy with you, whatever his name is. He continues to be quiet, kind of stare vacantly away, looks exhausted. What's next for Celeste and Rutherford?
Should we stay here and take a break, or should we find another place?
No, look at this. Whatever happened here, it's clearly powerful.
Yeah, I don't think the boys. Maybe it's good if you see something else. Then.
Did you see what happened to them, little boy?
He looks up at you, and again, it's like he's considering whether or not he wants to answer you. And then he, with a very small shake of his head.
That's good.
Let's see. Maybe if he warms up to us, we can figure out something how to get.
Well, let's get some food in him first. No?
Yeah, and a warm place. Oh, looking down to the boy, and this is Rutherford. I know he looks scary like these guys, but he's one of the good ones.
Hello.
He doesn't respond, but he does wide eyes up at you.
Food.
Okay. We would, if you're okay, we would like to take you with us just out of here, find another place we can stay. We have some food, proper food, something to drink for you. Let's get you warmed up. I would like to maybe just make a quick medicine check on you. I'll not hurt you, just looking.
He lets you.
Okay. Yeah. And I think for
go
everything.
ahead.
I'm just thinking, what would I roll? It's not
Oh,
really
give me a
healing.
yeah. Give me a sharp check. You're just sort of checking him over to get a better sense of. Let's say that what you can do is you're checking his arms because he's very skinny, he's very bony. You notice a couple of wounds. They look like cuts, maybe done with a sharp instrument on both of his arms, and specifically his biceps.
But slightly healed up, not fresh.
Not fresh.
Okay. You've been through quite a lot as it looks. Let's get you to a nicer place. And I will just still hold his hand if he's still willing to, and turn around and then probably freeze dead because I see people.
Right. And I will note as they come out of the room, you have all heard what this conversation, you could hear them. It's not like they were so separate that you couldn't. So you do walk out of the room. I don't think you see Father Sloan, but you see Nora and Abe, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have weapons in your hand, or did you lower them?
No, yeah, mine's lowered. I don't have.
And then Ozzy.
I hold up my empty hands.
Rutherford puffs up, making himself big anyway. What is your intention? Why are you sneaking up on us?
There's no intention of any harm. We just saw you walk into the bank from across the street, and we wanted to see what else was in the building and if there was anything of importance here.
I have put my gun away at this point. At this point, I stand up, my hands up like this, and I say, I'm afraid they're with me. It was my idea, I'm afraid. We saw you enter in, and we just wanted to check things out and make sure everything was all right.
How many of there are you?
Oh, just us.
Just us.
Okay.
My name's Abe. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Rutherford.
Celeste.
I'm Nora.
A pleasure.
And I just kind of stare at Rutherford.
I'm Waylon Sloan. Pleased to meet you.
Father.
It's at this point that there's another crackle on the walkie-talkie that Rutherford's holding that Nora, you had heard before. And then you hear a voice come through the walkie-talkie. And Rutherford has the walkie-talkie in hand. So we'll wait for a second for that. Abe, a moment before you saw these individuals, you went somewhere else in your mind's eye. You're in a field, looks like a backyard, but a large backyard, like a farmhouse. And you're standing next to a little boy, looks like the boy that you see in a second, but younger, maybe 6, 7 years old. And he's running through the field, and he looks back over his shoulder. The light is shining past him, so it's kind of framing him, and he waves for you to follow.
Yeah, I follow him in my mind.
You're moving through tall grass and flowers, the kind of landscape that you haven't seen recently, not this winter. And as you reach the top of this hill, the boy kneels down in the dirt, and you see lined up in front of him a collection. He takes out a small, look like tweezers, and this collection is a series of butterflies, moths, different flying insects, and they're all pinned to the dirt. He looks back up at you and smiles broadly, and then he turns and he begins to pull a wing off of one of the insects, and then another wing off of another one of the insects.
Don't do that. That's a nice collection you have there. You shouldn't destroy it.
He looks up at you and smiles again, sheepishly.
I blink and I try to get rid of the vision.
Not yet, Abe. I wanted you to see this for a reason. And beside you is the man in with long curly dark hair. He's in a jean jacket wearing blue jeans. I need you to do something for me, Abe. Are you able to do that?
Sure.
Boy is special, but he needs a mentor. Otherwise, he's going to turn out the wrong way, and we wouldn't want that, would we?
I already see he might be going the wrong way.
Well, he's just been waiting for you all this time.
I will do what I can.
I need you, Abe, to get him to New Orleans. It's very important. You come too. Can you do that?
I will try my best.
If you fail, if you can't get him there, then you're gonna have to end him, Abe. You're gonna have to kill the boy.
I understand.
Of course you do. You always understand. He gives you a hard pat on your shoulder. You can go now. You close your eyes, and when you open them again, that's when Rutherford and Celeste and the slightly older boy turn the corner and exit to the front of the bank. Rutherford,
and I recognize the boy.
You recognize him. Just he's older than he was in the vision.
I use telepathy on him to see his thoughts.
Absolutely. Give me a check.
I can't read him.
So as you reach out to try to read him and see what you can tell, the boy's eyes, even though he's wrapped in this leather jacket, go up to you. He sees you and you're looking at each other for a moment. And then you feel as though you had wings, but you don't. But you feel for a moment what it would feel like to have one of your wings plucked out of your back. It's all in your mind, but it's still very painful, and you do take one harm. It's at this point that there's a crackle on the walkie-talkie that Rutherford's holding that Nora heard, and you hear a voice come through the walkie-talkie. Jesse, you there? Come in, Jesse.
Do I answer?
Especially with Jesse, could be either way. Woman, man. But I would say, let's give it a shot. Just say, yeah.
I'll say it's not Jesse. I'll say we found the walkie-talkie.
You really want to do that?
Well, they might appreciate the information.
But we will not get any information. Just say yeah, please. And let's see what happens.
I'll try and do maybe an American accent. They sound American, right? Yeah.
Roll me a charm check.
I am not good at charm.
You tried.
So hard.
Wait a sec. Who is this? This ain't Jesse. Who is this?
I'm going to tell them.
Yeah, do.
Hello, my name is Rutherford. We found the walkie-talkie on two of maybe your men. They're in the bank. Something has devastated them. They are very dead.
There's a long silence on the other side of the line. And you're still, the five of you are all together face to face in this moment.
Thank you very much, Michael Wayne, for the donation. Celeste, do you have another reroll?
Thank you so much.
Waiting on this walkie-talkie to say something. Like, you know, the slow pan backwards. You can... Camera zoom out.
What happened to the boy?
The boy, he is with us. He seems fine, unharmed.
There's another long pause. All right. What is it you want?
We have lost people. Information at best, but nothing out of nothing too out of the way.
We've lost people too.
Perhaps we can help each other.
I would like that, but I don't know if I can trust you.
Fair. I have similar forbearance.
You have my nephew.
Okay, we will bring him to you then, perhaps as a token of trust.
All right, but no weapons.
That may be difficult. You might consider me a weapon myself. I am like your men.
That's okay. Doesn't make you a bad person. Exit 38, I-79. That's where you'll find us.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't seem so bad, right?
Not sure. Did the kid react to anything that you heard?
Yeah. What's everybody else doing during this conversation?
I was watching the kid to see how he
Yeah.
was reacting to the voice, and especially to the
Definitely watching Kid
declaration
as
that
well.
we were bringing him.
You can roll me sharp checks if you're wanting to check out the kid.
I was gonna ask if by this point, while they're talking on the walkie-talkie, if I could actually go over to the little boy and kneel down and ask him. And I want to use my suspicious mind, and ask him if he knows what's going on, if he knows like what happened, what really happened here.
All right, so let's look at suspicious mind here.
Says, if someone lies to you, you know it.
Know it. Perfect. So you go ahead and roll me a sharp check too.
You can have my re-roll. Come on. We want to find out what's with this boy.
Is the roll.
Thank you. A little better. A little better.
So the boy doesn't react at all. Seems with a 12 and a 13, I'll tell you, he seems entirely disinterested in the conversation, the voice on the other side of the phone. What was the question that Nora asks him directly?
If he understood what happened here, like if he like with the two, because have I seen at this point the two dead werewolf-ish creatures that he was sitting by?
If you wanted to, you could have peeked in the room to see. Yeah, you would have seen the two creatures. One of them.
Yeah. So like when I go over by
spider.
him, I kind of just want to peek around real quick and then kneel down and be like, do you understand what happened here? Like, do you know why everything happened?
He looks at you with wide eyes for a long moment and then slowly shakes his head no. But you don't believe him.
Okay. I'm gonna actually look up to Celeste, and as Rutherford and her are kind of talking at the walkie-talkie, I'm gonna look up her and say, he's a lot more important than I think we're leaning on right now. There's something about the boy. I would be kind of wary with the people who need him or ask for him back.
I get what you mean.
Still, this is exactly what we wanted, isn't it? We have something that they want. They can give us information. Perhaps we can find our sister.
What do we want to give them the boy? I'm torn.
I've been flipping through a small black book that I've produced from my satchel that looks kind of Bible-like. As I'm just sort of looking over it, I'm just sort of casually saying it. They're like you, right?
Seems to be.
Well,
Maybe not exactly the same, but very similar.
depending on how much time we have, there's a possibility there might be something in this bank could be used should things turn sour on this deal. Plenty of folks keep silver away in their deposit boxes.
And Celeste, you would know, Celeste, having worked with Penny Dorr over the past week, that silver should be a weakness for these creatures.
Just not.
The
It's
less
quite true.
silver there is around me, the happier I am, to be honest.
That's understandable.
The question is if we can get to anything. If it's still locked up, it's locked up. So
Roll me a cool check, Celeste. And what's Ozzy? What's Abe doing?
Was the door the people came out of? Is that the only door around here, or is that? What does it look like? Does it look like someone's been here before and went rifling through the bank, or does it look relatively untouched?
It's relatively untouched. There are some offices that things have been tossed in the offices, supplies taken. And with a 10 cool, I'll say this is the cool thing that happens. You very easily you find that the vault itself has been opened. So you could suspect that maybe somebody who worked here actually opened it all up, that its own employees probably looted it.
Yep, that would have been my next question. What happened to the vault?
So I'll say if you are looking for anything particular, let me know.
No, I just wanted to see basically if the place had been robbed, or probably after the apocalypse. People stealing. I guess it would be investigate mystery.
Yeah, investigate a mystery.
Okay.
And I was going to say, kind of as that's happening, can I walk over to Rutherford, but kind of keep my distance, and ask to see the walkie-talkie? Because I don't know if there's something that strikes it odd with me that the walkie-talkie is being able to be used, because something in my mind says, hey, these aren't supposed to be used over extremely long distances. So I just want to see if there's anything on the walkie-talkie that tells me the distance that it has between the other walkie-talkies.
So I'll have you investigate a mystery as well. Roll me a sharp check.
Okay.
So I've got an 8, which gives you 1 hold. And the question I'm going to use is, what happened here?
I'll say, ooh, nice. We'll get to Nora's in a second. Ozzy, Abe finds he's able to figure out basically all the money seems to be taken. This place was very purposefully looted, but they didn't take everything, and it doesn't look like anybody's been here in a while. If you had to guess, the employees took the material goods, the things that had value before the world fell apart, probably early on when society was starting to collapse a few weeks ago. Of course, money means nothing now. So I'll say you're also able to find some silver if you wish to take it with you, and if you wish to show it to Father Sloan.
Well, we can find the heat source. I can probably do something with the silver.
Thank you very much, Michael Wayne, who donates another reroll to Celeste with the message, remember the truth bomb.
Thank you.
And Father Sloan?
Well, just to be clear, did Abe say that out loud?
Yeah, that was
okay.
Talking Father Sloan.
That you found them. I'm like, well then, I see that they'd already the employees got a head start on looting before us.
I assume they're like silver bars.
Yeah.
In whatever denomination they are.
Silverware, silver whatever that people might have been holding on to. Like, yeah, not a lot of time to melt it down, but if you've got, are you saying you've got an inside way of doing that quick?
Not quick. As I said, I need a I don't know, some sort of heat source. Silver has a low melting point, so some sort of directed flame should work.
Sloan, roll me a cool check.
Who's that?
I'm sorry.
Sloan, roll me a cool check.
Cool. I will do this.
Some of the silver that you're able to find is an expensive cutlery set that one of the managers or somebody who's higher up in this company had taken to work. You'll at least find something more immediately useful, a silver knife.
Yeah.
Not incredibly weapon-like, but in a pinch might do.
Yeah. Well, these look like they'll do all right if they're needed, and if nothing else, with the other stuff, you can always throw it at them.
Well, I can certainly put a sharper point on it.
Nora, you have, with your 13 on Investigate a Mystery, you get 2 holds. So you can ask 2 questions about in regards to the walkie-talkie.
I want to see if there's a manufacturer sticker on there that gives me the distance between walkie-talkies that you can use them for. And then I wanted to see if there are, just look at the channel number that we're on and make sure I remember what channel number that is.
You're able to remember the channel number, you commit it to memory, and checking out the walkie-talkie, whether or not it's because she's read about walkie-talkies or she's used them before, she's very quickly able to determine that they couldn't be too far away, not more than a few blocks.
I'm going to turn to the group and say, I don't think there's any reason we should be trying to travel farther to meet whoever this is that wants this little boy back. They can't be too much farther away. Their vehicle's right out front, and they're using a walkie-talkie to communicate with us. There's absolutely no way that we need to drive any further than trying to figure out where they are right now.
So, I mean, they said exit 38, I-67. I mean, is that far?
By my understanding, it's not too far, but why would they want to drive somewhere when they can just be a couple blocks away and we could meet them faster?
Maybe they are a
Where do you think?
of...
Where do you think that they're trying to have us meet them? Do you think it might be a setup, a trap?
Possibly.
They said exit 33.
I would. If I was to set up a meeting, I would like it to be somewhere neutral, I guess. I wouldn't invite someone into my living room if I have just been told that they are some kind of monster. At the same time, what are they doing here? Well, if they're a community of people like me, perhaps they're doing exactly what we were doing, trying to gather the silver so that it can't be used against them.
Either way, I feel like something is up. I don't feel quite confident in this place and this boy.
Well, perhaps if you're setting up a meeting, then the rest of us can be just a bit further back out of sight if you need backup, as it turns out. But that way you can go in without visible weaponry, but then if need be, we can back you up.
I think first we should maybe leave here because they know exactly where we are at the moment, even if they're not close.
Yes, that's a very good idea. Probably
Good
best
idea.
to stop shopping for silverware.
And then figure something out.
Yes, I agree. Let us get in the van, and no one else spoke whilst I was on the walkie-talkie, right? So I said we, as in there's more than one of us. It could be any 2 of us that go. If we want to seem genuine, it would be Celeste. If we are not too worried, it could be any one of you.
Just to be curious, you must have been nearby seeing us walking in here. Do you have a place?
Oh, we were in the pub.
We just arrived as well.
Maybe it's good to stay there and keep an eye on the bank in case they return.
Split ourselves 3 ways.
I'm looking over to Nora to see what it is that she decides, because that's kind of where I'm going to follow.
I suppose it wouldn't be a bad idea to at least wait in there a little bit longer to see if anybody else comes back. There was that other vehicle out front, and if I'm not mistaken, if they're not too far away, they might come back and try and pick it up. So if we want to stake out the bank for a little while, I'd be comfortable doing that.
Is there a rear car park to the pub or something like that?
No, wasn't there another? There was another armored car that was behind the one that they drove in, correctly?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, yeah.
Was there any? Are there any other vehicles, just like maybe broken or unbroken, on the street?
Yeah, there's tons of vehicles. I mean, you would know that you've probably tried to, loot them or getting them started is hard. It's winter time, so a lot of their batteries are dead, even if they haven't been taken apart. But there are plenty of cars around.
Okay.
I'm wondering if there is perhaps an alley or a rear car park or something where we can hide our armored car. Because if they come to try and collect one and find another one just like it, we had trouble from these guys on the road before, to be fair.
Yeah, then trying to hide your vehicle would probably be the best option.
Right. No, I'll check it out. And I start heading for the door, looking around for alleyways. It occurs to me that perhaps at some point in my experience, I might have needed to do something like this before. So I will just sort of glance around and see what the best sort of vehicular situation would be as far as that goes.
Sure. There are plenty of buildings around. You are in downtown Pittsburgh, and there's a tall, what's probably an office building, just on the corner of the street, a skyscraper, and it looks like it has like maybe a loading dock that would provide some cover in the back. Roll me a weird check.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
You think that you see a figure moving into the dock at the end of the street, and you're old. I'm guessing Sloan probably doesn't have the best eyesight anymore.
Not these days, no. I mean, it's still pretty good, but he still needs glasses to read. Actually, he was wearing glasses when he was flipping through the book, and then he took them off when he came back. So, I mean, I'm still pretty good, but yeah, it's not as good as I used to be.
So you think you see a figure, something move into the dock at the end of the corner, but you can't really make it out.
Okay, so I'm immediately going to turn around and head back to the bank. Just sort of report back.
Could meanwhile I just look at the boy. Would you be okay to stay with or look over Nora? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
As long as I just reparking our car, which sounds hideous in these times.
He nods his head yes. Okay. But while he's nodding his head yes, he's looking not at Nora but at Abe. And he takes a small step away from Abe and towards Nora.
No, kind of put my arm around the boy, just like not really seeing him kind of look at Abe. I'll just kind of put my arm around him and just like rub his shoulder.
And then I would step next to Rutherford. We really carefully need to think about what we want to do.
Yes, at least we have good contact with him.
Yeah. I will just repark the car, and I guess then we stay in the pub.
But we at least solidify our plans. Yes, let us move. I do not like the idea of being caught here unawares.
Okay. And then I guess the father is back by then.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm coming in, I am starting to set my bag down and I'm going through it and I say, well, I've got some good news and some bad news. Good news is, the good news is there's a load-in dock not too far away that would be useful for staking this area out. The bad news is it seems someone else has already had the same idea. From what I can tell, they might be, in fact, looking at us right now. As I'm rummaging through my bag, I produce the parts of and begin assembling an assault rifle.
Impressive.
There's someone out there already, and it's moving into the dock. If they've not seen us already, they're gonna in a moment.
So we're all inside the pub as of right now, correct?
All right, have you guys gone into the pub, or are you still inside?
Yeah, I think it's a bit more comfortable.
Well, I'll meet you back wherever, either at the bank or the pub, whichever one it was.
Rutherford and Celeste, have you gone into the pub, or are you still in the bank?
I'd say let's get out of here, go to the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, at this point you're in the pub. Your
Okay.
van's across the street.
Okay, I'm sitting with the little boy at like one of just like the bar tables or whatever, and while I'm just kind of like watching what he's doing, I have my notepad out, and I am sketching kind of more about what Rutherford looks like, kind of writing some notes like good temperament ? Like just kind of keeping tabs.
Roll me a weird check.
Okay.
I want you to answer a question for me about Nora's past.
Okay.
Has she ever been betrayed by someone she trusted?
Oh yeah. Her father walked out on her family when she was young. So the whole premise of her kind of coming back to Pittsburgh after the virus had started from where she was in school was so that she could find her sister and her mom, because she wasn't going to be able to deal with like the loss of more family, because when her father had left and kind of betrayed the family, like it really kind of did a lot on her. So like she has this like hope that she's going to find her family again and not, you know, betray them like their dad betrayed them before.
And the last time she saw them or spoke to them, was it after the virus hit?
Yeah, it was like a day or two after like it started becoming a bigger thing, and she was like, I'm on my way home, just keep yourself safe until I can get home. And she's been there and she hasn't found anybody.
Cool. You're sketching Rutherford. You're all in the pub. You're sitting next to the boy Nora. What is Celeste and Rutherford's plan?
I still want to move the car, at least to a different place. Probably not the place where someone is. Should I just quickly move it and you keep an eye out on the street? I will just move it a bit down the road. I will not hide it, but at least get it out of sight from the bank.
Yes, okay, we can move it. I will keep an eye. How do we want to do this? Do we want, knowing that it could be a trap? Well, once you know there's a trap, you can spring it. They said not to bring weapons. So maybe we just bring concealed weapons. I look at the father.
Well, I can keep an eye from here if you like. I can keep an eye, and used to be a dab hand with this, and I can keep an eye from here and pick anyone off if they come at you.
That definitely would be helpful.
Excellent. And then actually, as he's been going, the father has been kind of muttering to himself a little bit as he's finishing setting up the bit that you stand it up on and whatever, you know, on your shoulder, and he's just been sort of muttering something to someone, maybe, or sort of into this. No, when we could have something just very briefly, you might just hear, I could have given us a bit of advance warning, you bastard. No one in particular.
Excellent. So the plan is for Celeste and Rutherford, they're going to go out, they're going to move the car. Rutherford's going to watch the street while Celeste drives the car down the street and maybe around the corner. So it's not super hidden, but it's a little less conspicuous.
Yeah, not directly walking towards the bank and seeing now, whoa, 2 of my cars are here.
All right. So they exit to go do that, and we'll come back to them in a minute. But inside the pub, Ozzy, make me a weird check. And yeah, make me a weird check too. Both of you make me a weird check.
Me as well?
No,
okay.
I still remember yours.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, who was the second weird? Oh, yeah, got it.
Oh, it was for Father Sloan.
That's a 9 from me.
Great. What is Old Man Abe doing once they leave?
Watching. I'm watching out the window just to make sure nothing or nobody else
is interfering with this whole thing. No, basically keeping watch, keeping overwatch.
And once Father Sloan has set up his assault rifle, he's got it all set up. What else does he do to prepare for what's coming?
Let's see. He lays out nearby where he's kind of got his sort of a sort of corner near the window set up, probably somewhere where he can poke it out through the glass. Maybe there's like a little broken hole in the glass, or he makes one if there isn't, and gets that set up, gets his little corner set up, gets his gun out. He is also from within his pockets. He is also carrying a large knife, apparently, which he lays out, and a couple of silver knives from the bank. He's got them all just sort of in a very, very neat pattern where he can get to them all really quickly if he needs to. And then grabs another bottle of whiskey from the from behind the bar, sets that up, and is just kind of occasionally sort of doing the rough muttering. But unless someone is talking to me right now, I'm not saying too much back, just aside from that little bit of berating that I did.
You do get the sense that sometimes they talk to you. God.
Yeah.
Probably God.
Yeah, probably God.
Sometimes you visit them, and it's usually when you actually sit down and pray. You actually close your eyes and more ritualistically try to speak to God. Is he attempting to connect in that way, or is he just kind of complaining?
I think, well, he complains a little bit at first, and if it seems like nothing is happening, and he may have a moment, this is kind of, he's sort of is gotten to the point he's doing this kind of while getting ready. So it's like, I think it's part of his focusing ritual a little bit, just sort of checking in when he's about to. I think now, especially because these are things he does not necessarily want to be doing anymore. The shooting of people and all that. But he's gonna just take a moment whilst he's breathing in and getting set to whisper a prayer, and just sort of goes over quietly the it's probably like Psalm 23 or something along those lines. You feel yourself being pulled upwards in a way that you felt before, but only recently, since the apocalypse happened. And as you're praying, you can still feel your fingers setting the gun up, but when you open your eyes, you're elsewhere, as you've been before, and you've been in this room before. It is a high-rise restaurant, tea room, looking out over a burning New York City. And sitting there at a table by himself, dressed in an immaculate white suit with a black tie, stirring idly, looking bored, is the man that you've come to know as God. He's got a full set of hair, strong jawline. He looks like a very successful Wall Street broker, and he's looking down over the burning city, stirring a cup of tea or something else. You can see off on the side of the room, those who attend him every once in a while will bring out some food or bring out another drink. They are, for all intents and purposes, angels. They are also dressed like servers or bartenders, but they do have white wings. And you approach him there, and you can hear him sigh. So I, out of habit, as I'm reaching the table, just sort of one hand up on it, and I genuflect real quick, and then I get up and I sit in the chair opposite him. And I say, so just rather wondering if any of these fellas are about to hit our actual targets that you're wanting.
You are very needy. Who are you thinking?
All our best qualities.
Who are you with? I haven't been paying attention. I'm sorry.
It's awesome. That scientist lady, Nora, that you told me to keep an eye on.
Oh, yes. And she's still fine. And he looks down over the burning city. Yes, she's still fine.
A few other folks who just turned up as well, actually.
Yes. The mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Celeste.
Sorry, Lord, go ahead. You first.
Mutant and her brother, Rutherford, yes?
Yes, that's how they identified themselves. They seem to be caring for someone, so they don't seem to be, of course, immediately evil, shall we say, but as we both know, these things have a way of hiding themselves. So still keeping one eye on them.
You can hear the clink, clink, clink of his spoon going around the inside of the cup, and then a hard clink as you continue to talk. And he says, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you need from me. You are taking care of Nora, you're protecting her, yes?
Yes, indeed. But the trouble is that these other folks, if they're... How important are they to be protected as well? That's the question. Is there a particular side I should be taking here?
He snaps his finger, and one of the angels, young woman in appearance with wings, of course, comes out and lays down a plate of lamb chops in front of him, a set of silverware, forks and knives, and he starts cutting. Well, you can't let them die. They're important to my plan as well. So, I suppose kill whomever is after them, whoever threatens them. Those other wolf creatures, they are not good people.
Well, that's all I needed to hear, Father Almighty. Thank you so much.
Also, the child, yes, that is with Nora.
Yes, the child.
I would recommend you get away from him soon. He's not safe for her. He continues to cut his lamb chops, and then he takes a bite and chews it.
And then I'll see that we do that then.
You really have to stop coming up here. I'm sorry, but I enjoy my privacy, and I feel that I've given you everything you need. You have the tools to do your job.
Well, I'm just sort of wondering how much longer I'm going to be doing this job. I mean, I wouldn't need to keep coming up here if you didn't keep sending me into situations with all these complications about them. Things used to be simpler in the old days, I can tell you. But
You will serve until you die, and when you die, it will be with meaning or without meaning. I suppose that's your choice.
Well, enigmatic as ever. I shrug and I say, very well. I guess I'll just throwing bullets into folks without much reason aside from just that they're good or bad. Well, fine. No, fine. I'll take care of it.
Are you questioning me?
Well, I'm not that stupid. I stand up and I say, right then, I'll be on my way. Nice suit, by the way. Again, this is a good choice today. I like it. And
he stares at you blankly for a long second. Does Father Wayland get up?
Yeah, Father Wayland stands up.
Thank you.
And just sort of does the sign of the sort of absent-mindedly does the sign of the cross on him, and just sort of turns around and starts walking away, knowing that he'll be whisked back.
Before you turn away, you see, like, as you're starting to turn, as soon as he thinks that you're looking away and his gaze goes back down to the burning New York City, he's outside of this skyscraper window, you see him pull up a mirror, and he, like, sort of checks out his hair and slicks it back a little bit, sets down the mirror, takes another bite of his lamb chops. You step into the elevator and ding, the elevator closes behind you and you drop back into your body in the pub where you're setting up.
So basically this, I kind of mutter to myself, as I'm doing it. I'm just sort of like, I said you looked nice. I didn't say you looked like the frickin' second coming.
I can hear you still. I am God.
I just sort of look up. I just sort of look up. I shrug. I say, yeah, I know you're always there. It's a comfort of a sort.
Abe, you witness Father Sloan mumbling to himself. Nora, you've probably seen him mumble to himself a few times here and there. Maybe it's a quirk to her. Has Sloan talked to Nora about his conversations with God, or is that something he's kept to himself?
Only if she has asked him, and he has been kind of enigmatic about it. He's sort of saying that it's everyone talks to God. It's something that everyone does in their own way, and it's a kind of a prayer. The Lord is always with us, always, and it can be a bit of a pain at times, as particular needs. But as long as you're following your path, it's still be there for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nora more so just kind of like chuckles to herself when it happens. Like she doesn't understand the severity of what's truly going on. She just thinks he's being like an old babbling man about God, and he's just like having a moment. So she just kind of like puts it off and just lets him kind of do whatever he needs to do when he's kind of in that way.
It is a bit of a distraction, and Abe, you do recognize it, and you get the feeling that something's going on here, but you also get the feeling that nobody's really paying any attention to you.
I think Abe used to be religious, but he's lost all faith because he's seen 2 major wars and now this. So this is not something he believes in anymore. He's fine with people being religious, and if that is what gives Father Sloan his confidence, fine by me.
What's Abe doing during this time when they head out? And
when they actually head out to move along, he will definitely join them. But he will keep an eye out and his otherworldly senses out in case anything else comes in.
We're going to cut outside for a moment to Celeste and Rutherford. You have reappropriated your own armored vehicle. And Celeste, you're parking it down the street and around the corner, correct?
Yeah.
I need you both to make me sharp checks. Celeste, you feel confident that you're clear, at least for the moment, that nobody's watching you or that nobody's watching your vehicle, at least. But Rutherford, as she turns the corner, you happen to notice in the parking garage down the corner of the street on the opposite direction, several figures stepping out from around the corner. They are dressed in long trench coats, but even from here with your slightly heightened senses, we'll say, you can see that they are werewolves, and they too are armed. They're moving up the street slowly towards you, not aggressively at the moment.
I will wait for Celeste to turn the corner so we're out of sight. There were werewolves down the road there. They were wearing large coats, and they seemed to be armed. Perhaps they are not aggressive, perhaps they didn't see us. Are you all for taking the boy to trade him for information? .
Is he asking that of Celeste?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Or so I'm back from the car?
Or I think Rutherford followed you.
You left the others inside and followed me? Great!
This is fine.
No, it's not. Now they will get the boy without us getting answers. Let's go back quickly. And yes, I'm fine with giving them the boy. Something is off about him. And I would mumble a bit to myself. As usual, I'm still insane enough to do that, to like whisper to Cassie if she has a feeling on the boy and what we think of it, like a little bit of like talking to some imaginary friend.
Mm. So Rutherford, you're with him. So does he witnesses you kind of mumbling?
Rutherford will purposely ignore it. He doesn't want to believe that his sister's going mad.
We have a healthy relationship.
So you turn the corner and start to head back, go back inside the pub now. Nora and Abe, as Sloan is getting set up, the boy who is sitting next to Nora, he looks up at you at one point. He's kind of been staring forward blankly. And when he does, he slips out from underneath his jacket and folds the jacket up into his lap, and he holds out a hand for you, Nora.
I'm gonna just kind of look at him and set my pen down and just take his hand.
Abe uses telepathy. Don't touch him. Nora.
You can hear, he can speak to you in your mind, Nora, and that so you hear that inside your mind.
So immediately as I hear anything, like I go from just about to grab his hand to like pulling it back, very drastic, and my eyes get wide for a second. Nora's looking around the room. She looks back at the boy. Is he doing anything?
And he looks up at you, scared, timid looking, and then he looks over to Abe, and he holds out a hand for Abe. He's still got his other hand held out for Nora, even though she's pulled away.
I'm gonna look right over at Abe.
What do you want?
He doesn't speak.
I'm not giving you my wings.
I'm gonna take his hand.
Sloan.
Have I noticed this happening?
Yeah, we could say you catch it, like the end of it, like right as she grabs his hand, you notice it.
Oh, I'm gonna immediately turn, reaching for my gun, reaching for the 38, and I just say, "Hey, what you doing there, son?"
This is a good time to have a few checks made. Nora, I need you to make me a weird check. Sloan, I need you to make me a tough check. And let me know as she reaches out and grabs this boy's hand, how does Abe react?
Abe will try to intervene to grab Nora's wrist.
Go ahead and roll me let's call that a tough check.
Okay.
As you reach out to grab, and we'll say this is the side effect, as you reach out to grab Nora's wrist to keep her from touching the boy, he reaches out with his other hand and grabs your wrist. And I need you to make me a weird check.
It's a 5.
Nora and Abe go catatonic. Their bodies, their muscles go limp. They don't fall down. It's like they're frozen. Their hands and arms are held up only by the boy who's gripping onto them, Sloan. And you see the boy look to you, and his lips part, and you see his teeth for the first time. And they are large teeth. It's a big smile. And just as you're trying to intervene, there's an explosion behind you. With a 9, you push forward and you roll over the ground. You don't take too much damage. Throw your body with the force of the explosion, you'll take 1 harm. And through the smoke, you can see 2 figures. One of them with a shotgun and one of them with a pistol and holding another something in his offhand. Rutherford and Celeste, you see this happen as you turn the corner down the street. You see one of these werewolves throw something through the front window of this pub, and there's an explosion rocks the front of the pub. We're going to and this is how we do initiative in this game, we're going to let Sloan start, and then when you finish your turn, you decide who to pass it off next to, and we're going to go around in a circle that way.
And I'm going to point my I'm going to come up. I'm going to point my 38 right at the kid's head, if I have the ability to do so. And I'm just going to say, I'd let him go right now if I were you.
Mad look in your eye. Give me let's call it I'll let you choose charm or tough.
I think I'm going to choose tough, if I may.
Absolutely. Give me that roll. You're not sure if your threat gets to him, scares him, but he does let go of Abe's hand. And when he does, Abe's eyes open, flutter up, and life begins to come back into his muscles. But he raises his hand as your negative side effect towards you, and you feel your body lift up off the ground, and you're thrown across the room with a telekinetic force. Like a rag dog, you're just thrown back into and towards the fire. You'll take another harm. Who do you pass your initiative off to?
I think I will pass my initiative off to Abe.
Abe, your eyes flutter open. For a moment, you were back inside that car in the passenger seat, driving away from New Orleans. That you don't feel fear anymore. Your phobias are gone because of how much you've seen, but there's something beside you, something new, something that terrifies you. And as you look to the driver's seat this time, it's the boy. It was always the boy. And he turns as he's driving away from New Orleans, and you can see the flash of the nuclear bomb behind you through the mirror, and he smiles at you. But then you wake up back in the pub.
I'm going to try something. I'm going to use telepathy on the boy.
Okay.
And I'm going to project the noisiest possible image, the noisiest possible situation I can imagine.
All right.
Because this is evil, so I need to project positive images as an attack.
So give me a weird check and tell me what's the nice image that comes to old man Abe's head that he tries to...
It is a nice big house. There's a dinner table set up, and it's Sunday lunch. There's a big roast turkey on the table. The family is saying grace, and this is there's just a feeling of peace.
Go ahead and roll me that weird check.
Yes.
The boy, for a moment, as you are now inside his mind, you're projecting this image of Thanksgiving dinner. You see him approach the turkey and the table with a sort of curiosity, and you see him sit down and smile, and his shoulders relax, and he begins scooping out mashed potatoes onto his plate. And as he does so, in the pub, his body, he lets go of Nora's hand. And Nora begins to wake up.
And I pass on to Nora.
You pass it on to Nora. So
like we got a nerf
while you
gun.
were entranced for a moment,
Welcome, Raiders.
you don't
Sister
see...
Albert, welcome.
So we're inside a burning pub with two armed werewolves coming through the front of the pub, intent to do some harm, it seems. Father Wayland has just been tossed into the fire. Celeste and Rutherford are coming to the aid. Nora has just woken up from a trance. A teenage boy with some psychic powers had grabbed her, and when he did, and her body went slack, she, in her mind's eye, looked towards the front of the pub, and she didn't see two werewolves entering. She didn't see the explosion. She saw standing, their backs turned, just at the door of the pub, her mother, her sister, looking away from her, just standing there. They're holding each other's hands.
Nora's just going to start weeping, and I'm going to run. She's going to run towards where she thinks she sees her mom and sister.
Roll me a cool check. You feel something rock, the ground shake. This is in the real world, the force of the explosion, but she doesn't see the explosion. And as you wake up from the dream, we'll get there in a second. You do run towards the front of the room where your sister and your mother are. What does she do as she's getting close to them?
I'm trying to extend a hand to grab them because they're facing away from me, right? That's what I see. So I'm gonna
They're facing the window, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and see if I can get their pull them close to me, turn them around. She's just trying to grab onto them.
They seem to resist for a second, but you are able to get them pulled around. And as their bodies turn and their heads turn, you see that they are not alive, that their flesh is pallid, rotten. But there's a spark of life in their mouths as they open. There's a sound that escapes it. And they move to embrace you.
I'm going to instinctively reach for my gun and just kind of blindly shoot straight in front of me.
As you pull out your gun, that is when the boy's hand releases. And this is from Old Man Abe's work, his own visions of goodness that have distracted the child. You've dragged this teenage boy who's gripping onto you across the floor towards the fire. And when he finally lets go and you snap to, you find yourself standing, this fire burning in your face from this explosion as the pub begins to catch, and you see standing just in front of you two beasts, werewolves like Rutherford, armed, right where the same distance where your mother and your sister just were. And I need you to roll me a tough check.
Okay.
Your gun fires, plugs into the shoulder of one of them just before it's about to reach up and rake at you with its offhand. The other one, however, with a 9, having a side effect, does fire back at you. This is with a shotgun. You feel the force, even though it's a miss, of just the side spray of the bullets rip into your side for 2 harm, and you are thrown backwards and away. slam into the ground, but you are awake.
All right. I'm going to pass it on to Rutherford.
We go outside the pub. You've seen the explosion, and you've seen the 2 werewolves move into the fire, and you've heard several gunshots.
A quick glance to Celeste. Do we help or do we flee?
Let's try to help.
Okay. And I'll use my preternatural speed to rush up to the building and try and come up behind the werewolves if possible, if I can see in the smoke.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll say with your preternatural speed, you can get there no problem.
Okay.
Bursting across the street.
Yeah, and I'd use that momentum to try and plunge my claws into one of their shoulders.
Roll me a sharp check and roll me a tough check.
Okay, there's the sharp check. And there's the tough check.
All right, and how much damage do you do with your rake?
3.
All right. So you slam into the back of the one who's just unloaded its shotgun. It's starting to reload the shotgun, and you rake it across the back. You push it forward into the fire. You're both tossing through the fire now. As it burns around you, you will take 1 harm from the fire, but you will do the full damage, and you're on top of this creature. It's fighting back against you, but you've blindsided it.
I pass my turn over to Celeste, of course.
I will just run as quick as possible. Much slower still, behind Rutherford. Do I at least have the chance to like get into the doorway to see the werewolves?
You're coming across the street. You can see them because the front doorway of this pub is blown apart. The fire is illuminating them. You can see the shapes of them. You could fire at them if you want. You are firing into a room full of people. And it's hard to make out through the smoke where those other people are. So it's a bit of a risk. If you want to take a shot, you can. We'll see how you roll.
The question is, could I still run up next to one and stab one?
You can't get within melee range this turn.
Because I'm not as fast as my dear brother. I would still go for the shot. So I will use I would guess probably my rifle, just
All right.
from the shoulder, and going for not the one, Rutherford attack the other one.
The one that's still standing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a shot.
And that is tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I will use my reroll.
All right. Excellent.
Nope. Bad idea.
Oh.
Bad idea.
Oh no.
I wanted to hit better.
You do have a reroll.
I used that for getting the 5.
Oh, did you?
The reroll made it worse. Yep. So, how much damage does your rifle do?
2.
Nora, as you're standing back up a little bit after having been knocked away, you take another shot through the fire. This is a stray rifle shot.
Oh,
for 2 harm.
I am so sorry.
Oh,
I will try.
I've moved into the dying side. I have moved into the dying side.
Whoops.
Now, I will say this, and know this about Monster of the Week. Everyone has a little bit of luck. Some people have more than others. The reoccurring characters have more. You can use luck to automatically change a roll to a 12, or you can use luck to avoid all harm when you take harm. So just throwing that out there in case you guys need to use it or want to use it at some point.
Okay.
Celeste, who do you pass initiative off to? We're back up to a new round again.
To Nora, I would guess. After probably recognizing what I've done, that would be the next turn.
All right.
So I'm on the ground, right? You said like kind of thrown.
Yeah, and as soon as you tried to, like, even if you got up just a little bit, it was still enough for you to take the shot.
Right back down. Okay. I'm going to kind of roll onto my side, my good side, and kind of fumble for my 9mm, which is tucked in the back waistband of my pants. And I'm going to draw it. And from where I'm at, can I see any of the intruding werewolves?
Yeah, you can see Rutherford on top of one of them. You can see both of them through the smoke. The one that's still standing is a little harder to make out, slightly more difficult shot.
Then I'm going to try to take the easier shot of the two while I'm kind of on the ground.
Absolutely. Go ahead and I'll give you, because he's down, if you want to get close, like almost point blank, you can crawl over to him so it's an easier shot. I'll give you +1 on your tough check here.
Okay.
That makes it a 7. That is a success. How much damage?
It does 2 harm.
All right. You do 2 harm to the werewolf who's on the ground already. And your side effect is that the boy, now snapped out of his temporary daze, is scrambling towards you too. And you can see him as you look over your shoulder for a brief moment. He's crawling and his eyes are wide, and he reaches out and he grabs your foot. And again, you go slack. You go into a trance. Who does she pass her initiative off to?
I'm gonna go for Father Wayland.
Wayland, who's also been thrown, knocked around.
So I'd like to, sort of shaking my head, roll out of the fire and over to near the adjacent, hopefully to my window space, or where it used to be, and muttering as I want to grab my rifle and turn, just sort of muttering, see what I tell you, this happens every time I work with amateurs. And I want to immediately turn and shoot the boy.
All right, take your shot.
All right. Here we go. I would like to use a luck to turn that into a 12, if I may.
That's what it's there for. So right as he grabs onto Nora, and we'll get back to this on Nora's next turn here, right as he grabs onto her leg and you see her go slack, you unload your shot onto him. How much damage does it do?
An assault rifle does 3 harm.
So the force of it, and this is a 13-year-old kid, he's scrawny, he's not heavy. The force of it is it catches him in the torso, in the chest. It throws him back. He smashes into a table in the pub, and he's bleeding heavily from his chest. He's sort of shaking on the ground. His head is back. He looks like he's in shock. He's clasping at his chest. All of a sudden, he doesn't look dangerous or threatening. He looks scared.
Oh, dear.
Who does Wayland pass his turn off to?
I think I'm actually going to pass to Rutherford.
Thank
All
you.
right, so you pass to Rutherford, and as you do, and after you shoot the kid, the werewolf that's still up, not the one that's underneath Rutherford, he pulls his pistol back and he aims it at Sloan. He says, "We got to get the kid. Get him out of here." Rutherford, it's your turn.
Rutherford, in intimate contact with this werewolf, will hold him in the fire and bite them.
All right, give me a tough check, and I'll give you, since you got him tackled, +1.
Tackle +1, that's very kind.
All right. How much damage does the bite do?
4.
All right. So describe to me how you kill this beast that you've tackled.
Well,
it's been shot. Nora's just shot it too.
I imagine if I tackled it from behind, I took it down face down, so I'll be ripping at its head, forcing it into the flames, and biting at the back of its neck, ripping out its all of the jugular and all those sorts of nice juicy parts of the neck. Not really giving any concern for the flames.
And you will take another harm as the negative side effect there. And you tear apart the back of this creature's neck. You feel the weight of it, the evenness of it, go downward as it bends towards its chest unnaturally. And it's snapping towards the side back at you, but it can't actually, without muscles any longer in the back of its neck, turn its head around to bite back at you. And it slumps with a whimper to the ground. It's not dead yet, but it's definitely out of commission and dying.
I would pass my turn to Old Man Abe.
Old Man Abe grabs his M1 from his walker and shoots the boy.
Take your shot.
Late.
And how much damage does this do?
2.
Roll me a weird check, Abe.
Okay. 14.
Excellent. You unload the gun onto this boy who's already dying, already helpless. A moment before you fire, he stares blankly outward, and then his eyes go up to you, and he says, "What's for dinner?" First time you hear him speak. And then you fire your shot, and all the light fades from the boy's eyes.
And Celeste's next.
She will give it another go for one werewolf still standing.
And you can get close enough now that you can take the shot without being too worried that you're going to shoot somebody inside the room.
I will try. Then again, with my rifle, it's still up. That's the one.
All right. You fire at the same time that he fires, and he fires on Old Man Abe just as Abe unloads his gun. This werewolf is pointing at Father Wayland, but when Abe puts the boy down, he turns his gun on Abe and fires for 2 harm. And how much does Celeste do?
I'm going to spend my luck to avoid
harm. So how is Abe lucky here?
He will just roll off the basically roll between the booth and the table and disappear. Probably not in a good position now to do anything, but at least he avoided the harm. He avoided being shot.
Celeste, you unload your gun onto the remaining werewolf for 2 damage, is that right?
Yep.
2?
Yes.
It plugs into his back, and he turns back. He spins back towards you. No, this ain't how it was supposed to go down. Damn it, Abe. This ain't how it was supposed to go down.
I'm sorry.
Celeste, who do you pass it off to, or what's Celeste doing at this moment?
Jaw drop, probably. Just holding up the rifle still directly point to his head. And I would give it to the father.
Okay. I think I'm going to take the opportunity, just sort of not really even thinking, given this distraction, to quickly pick up one of the one of the silver knives and lob it at the at the standing werewolf.
All right, roll me a tough check. So the silver knife, because it's his weakness, has some additional bonuses. As you throw the knife through the air, it's not really a throwing knife, but you nail it. You're very effective. It slams into his back shoulder, and he pulls back his head and howls as though he's howling to the moon, but it's a much more pained howl. He staggers into the fire, trying to reach around. He can't quite get at his back. He can't quite get a hold of the knife, and he continues to howl, and he smashes his shoulder against the side of the building that's not on fire. And right now, he just looks like a rabid beast, spinning around, snapping. You do 3 harm.
Excellent. And I think I will pass to Nora.
Okay, so I'm still on the ground, right?
Yeah, roll me a weird check.
Okay. Oh, no.
As you open your eyes and you feel like you're coming out of the trance, you're not yet. You see standing over top of you, it's not the boy crawling towards you across the floor, it's your sister. And standing right in front of you, it's not the werewolf with the gun, it's your mother. And again, their faces are decomposed, lifeless, rotting, but their bodies aren't quite lifeless. They're moving towards you slowly. Their mouths opening. As your sister has your ankle, she's pulling you back towards her. And this time, you're not waking up.
I'm gonna let out a scream because I'm terrified and I'm shocked and I don't know what to do. And with my last instincts, because I kind of was out and back in, I'm going to try and shoot one last time at the looming figure that I see as my mother, but I'm not quite sure it is.
Make me a tough check.
Okay.
The shot goes off to the side, awry. You're weak. You've been shot a couple of times. You're bleeding. And your mother falls down to her knees and grabs your arms, including your gun arm, and pins it to the ground. Your sister's climbing up your legs towards you. She's got like your pants, using your pants as leverage to pull towards you. And both of them bite down into you, your sister biting your leg, your mother falling down and biting your shoulder. You can feel them with dull teeth tearing flesh from your body. Father Wayland, you're standing right there. You would witness flesh being torn, like a hole being torn out of her jeans, her legs, her pants, even though there's nothing on her. It's as though what she was experiencing was happening to her in real life. For 2 harm. How's Nora doing?
I'm 1 box shy of dying.
All right.
I'm gonna pass it off to Abe.
Abe crawls out from beneath the table. What do I see?
You see one wolf man still up, back turned away from you, now looking towards Celeste with a gun in hand. You see Rutherford having just pulled off of this other one that he is kind of flopping on the ground and dying in front of you. You see the boy not moving, lifeless. You see Nora severely wounded. I mean, she's bloody right now. She's been shot a couple of times. Like she just looks like a mess, and she's on the ground.
In that case, I'm going to try and see if I can help Nora. At least,
How would you like to try to help her?
Put pressure on the wounds, that sort of thing. Try to stem the bleeding.
All right.
Purely
Give me,
from experience, battlefield experience.
Give me that roll.
What roll?
Oh, let's see. Do you have a medicine?
No.
Move? Okay. Let's call it cool.
Okay. Yeah, can do that. And I'm going to spend my last luck to reroll that.
We'll say that you're able to stabilize her most major wound. This is the one that Celeste gave her when she shot her. You're able to tie it on and you think like you've held the bleeding for now. She obviously needs some severe help if she's going to live. And the fire is continuing to rage. As a matter of fact, a beam above you off to the side falls and smashes into the ground. It's not safe here, but you are able to at least help her a little bit.
Okay, and I'll try and bring her in safe as well, like into cover.
Okay. Now I'll say you could drag her a little bit further away from the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to pass it off to?
And I'll pass on to Rutherford.
Cool.
And in all this confusion, the other werewolf's still up, right? Just with a knife.
One of them is, yeah. He's just turned towards your sister.
Yeah, so as he turns towards Celeste, I'm going to leap. Okay, so I'm going to leap from the flames towards him and lash at his gut with my claws.
So you're jumping through the fire. Roll me a sharp check and then a tough check.
Oh, you know I'm not good at the sharp checks.
That's why I always ask. That's pretty good. I'll give you this with a consequence on the sharp check. You witness something in his offhand that you hadn't seen before you jump, and so I'll let you choose how you wish to spend that 12 tough. He's just pulled the pin out of a grenade.
Oh.
Grab the grenade!
Yeah, I'm going to take the grenade from his hand and dive on it.
You leap through the fire, slam into him with a 12. You're able to grab the grenade out of his hand and pull yourself on top of it a moment before it explodes. You won't deal any damage to him, but you'll be the only person to take damage from the grenade. It will be for harm.
I am one away from dying. Oh no! Oh, do I do it?
Yes.
I'm going to spend luck so I don't take any harm. I'm going to fully intend to dive on the grenade, but like, maybe there's just like a hole in the floor here that goes to the cellar. So the grenade luckily tumbles through that, and
We'll say this is what happens is you instead of diving on the grenade as you try to, it bounces off your body off of the ground and it rolls out into the street. And it rolls underneath the car so that the car takes the majority of the blast as it comes upward. It shoots the car off the ground. The car smashes back down onto the ground, but none of you will take damage.
Turn well spent. Luck well spent, rather. I will pass my go to Celeste. Is Celeste the only person who hasn't been this round so far? Or have we all
That's
been?
correct, yeah.
Celeste.
Another shock. Crazy brother. Jumping on a grenade. Is there any way, could I try to just use the end of my rifle to try to knock the werewolf out?
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe a tough check. You don't knock him out, but the blow as you slam the butt of your rifle into his maw, it does bloody his snout, it does break a few of his teeth, and it does stun him. So, and he will not fire upon you. We'll say it does 1 harm to him. He's still up.
And as free action, I would just yell at Rutherford, "Are you okay?"
I don't know how, but yes, I'm fine.
Lucky son of a bitch. Very fitting. And then I will pass my turn to Abe.
Abe. Old man Abe, you're dragging Nora away. Roll me a weird check.
Okay. That's a 4.
Whatever is inside, whatever malevolence is inside of Nora right now, it moves from her and into you. Old man Abe's body goes slack. Nora, you wake up, bleeding, but the image of your sister, your mother, is gone. Abe's pulled you away from the fire. We'll say you're both physically safe for the moment. Abe, do you do anything before, in that moment right before you go out?
No. My main objective was to get Nora safe.
All right. And who do you pass your turn off to?
I'm going to Nora then. Keep the flow going.
So at this point, I'm in complete shock. I'm trembling, I'm shaking, I'm crying, I'm bleeding everywhere. I'm going to try and, oh geez, there's still that one last werewolf, right?
There is, yeah.
Okay, so in the midst of all of this, I'm going to try and just out of my back pocket take one of my throwing knives and just kind of like lob it, because I don't have enough energy to do much besides that. So I'm gonna try and just throw one of my throwing knives and try and get it where I can.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll me a tough check then. And I will give you -1 because you're on the ground and severely injured.
Okay.
No negative consequence other than that as it misses off to the side, the creature who's still kind of stunned is now aware of you out of the corner of its eye, and it's got Celeste on one side of it and you on the other side on the ground, and it's starting to break out of its daze.
Okay.
Is she staying on the ground? Is she moving?
I'm going to try and scoot, depending on where I am, if there's like a overturned table or a booth or something that I can like try and crawl in or behind just to get out of the way for the immediate time.
There's a back exit from the pub through a small kitchen, and there is an overturned table that you guys have I think Father Wayland probably prepared it as he was getting set up for his gun. So that's still there too. So you could pull Abe behind that, or you could pull him towards the back door through into the kitchen.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually try and pull and like grab what I can to stop my bleeding, and also kind of grab Abe by the back of his shirt and pull him along and actually try and go towards the kitchen.
All right, yeah, give me one more tough check.
Okay.
And see if she can fight through all of her injuries and get Abe out of there this turn or next turn. You get to the door and then your strength comes out. You're almost there, but you're not quite there.
Okay.
You pass your turn off to.
Let's go to Father Wayland.
So seeing this and seeing that instead of just running, Nora is determined to also get Abe out, I'll just be like, all right. Just looking, I stand between, I step forward, trying to get between them and the werewolf. I just look up, say, "Wait, big fella, you didn't pay your tab. and fire at him.
All right, take your shot.
All right. 10.
How much damage is that?
Also, three harm.
So he's leveling his gun towards Nora as she's trying to get away, not quite free. And you one-liner him, unload your rifle into him. He flies backwards, and as he falls, he hits the knife that's the silver knife that's still sticking in his back, and it pushes all the way through him. And again, he howls in pain. His fur is lit up on fire now. He's on the ground, struggling, unable to move, paralyzed from his weakness. And he's going to die in a couple of seconds. He's gurgling.
Mm-hmm. So just seeing this and seeing that it appears, well, I mean, we still need to get everyone. Yeah, no, we're just going to start getting everyone out of here. And I will toss to who hasn't gone yet. I think Celeste hasn't gone yet this round. Yeah,
I haven't.
So Celeste, and we'll say after this we'll be out of combat. But now, as this happens, the final round, we'll say of initiative, what Celeste do?
Do I have the chance to pull the almost dead or close to dying werewolf, just pull him out of the fire and towards me and just basically yell at him, "Who sent you?" and see if I get an answer.
Yeah, roll me. I'll let you choose cool or charm.
Doesn't really matter, but I would go with charm in this case.
He's gurgling. And right before he stops moving in your arms, you hear one word. Flag.
That's not
Then he dies.
I would probably still try to shake him. What does that mean? And then realize that he's out.
So at this point, the fire is burning down the pub. Father Wayland's helped Nora, and Nora's helped they've dragged Abe out the back. Celeste and Rutherford, are you following out the back, or you could easily avoid the fire by just going out the front?
Should we head out the front? I don't see the need to risk the fire again. They'll be okay. They seem capable.
Yeah, I would also say go for the front. We can still see if we can make the way around to meet them also.
Absolutely. You reconvene in the back of the building. Abe is still catatonic.
Could I try to use the glasses the first time that I got from Penny, just to be curious what I see?
Absolutely, yeah. What are you looking at with the glasses?
So, just trying the glasses the first time, really, and basically looking at Abe and just trying to see is there anything around him, on him, because
roll
I've
me a
seen
weird
what
check.
happened to Nora, so...
Whilst that's going on, could I try and use my unquenchable vitality to restore my health a little?
Yes, absolutely.
So...
As you have the fresh air in your lungs again, you're away from the smoke and the fire.
Nope. Those glasses, everything is blurry and weird.
Yeah, you're not used to looking through the glasses or what they mean. It's overwhelming. Rutherford, you do succeed. You do regain vitality, health. Nora and Father Wayland, you're there. You're all out back of the building now. There's no more danger, at least immediate danger, that you're aware of.
Okay. I am looking for a vehicle to try to get some of these folks into, so we can get out of here and try to find somewhere with a med kit.
I would have a med kit in the car. At least a small one, what I could get from Cumberland that wouldn't be too bad. So some
Sure.
bandages, some patches, and whatever.
So you all move back to then down the street the armored van, the van that Celeste and Rutherford came in to see if they could do some what they can to help Nora, who's very badly off. How's Nora handling everything that's happened to her?
She's in shock, completely and utterly in shock between the visions that she was seeing and how it looked like she was getting attacked, and between like coming to a sense of realization and then realizing it was werewolves, and from going from not seeing or understanding or even encountering any sort of mutant to now being partnered with one and then fighting a bunch of other ones. It's a little bit overwhelming on her, to say the least, especially with all the damage that she has and how bloody and how wounded she is. She's just kind of more in a state of shock now than anything else.
Roll me a cool check, and then Celeste, I'll let you see if you can patch her up. You can roll me a check as well, Celeste.
Okay.
Nora will process everything that's happened to her, and she doesn't shut down entirely. She's in shock, but she's able to do a little bit at least to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But your negative consequences is that Nora knows in her heart that even though it was just some sort of terrible psychic weird vision, her mother, her sister, that they weren't actually there, not actually eating her. There's something about what she saw that was true. She can't be sure what it was, but there was some kernel of truth there. And that's a thought that is going to stay with Nora for a while.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Celeste is able to, what's the 9 do? Is that 1 or 2? I think it's just 1, right?
Yeah, but with something on top.
Yeah.
And I need to pick, and I don't want to. I would say I heal 1 harm, stabilizing her, but ongoing later on, it will go back -1 until it's fixed properly.
Celeste, you know, as you're working on her, that you're helping her survive, but that she needs true hospitalization. She needs true medical care, or she is not going to survive these wounds for very long.
Father, maybe it makes sense that we try if the other armored car's working. We know that in Cumberland there are good people who would be able to at least help Nora. I'm not sure if they could help Abe, I have to say, but at least Nora.
Right. I'll have a look at it. So she said the other armored car, I'm going to run over to it and hotwire it. I actually have an ability called Driver that you gain +1 ongoing while driving, plus you can hotwire anything. The older it is, the fewer tools you'll need.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So the plan for Father and Nora then is to hotwire a car, which he's able to do because he can hotwire anything, and drive to Cumberland, Maryland, which is a few hours away. Correct?
Yeah.
What about Celeste and Rutherford? What do they do now? Are they going back to Cumberland as well?
I don't think so.
No, I think we should stay here and find out what's going on with this compound or whatever.
So when the others leave, Celeste would go back and see if, at least on the bodies of the wearers, if there's any chance to go back, or is the building now completely on fire?
The building's going to burn down, but we'll say that you could have probably dragged the one that you were yelling. You probably dragged him out of the fire, right? So like you could go back to that one and check him. Yeah.
Just see if he has anything on him that might give us another clue.
Mm-hmm. Roll me a sharp check, and we'll see how good this clue is. it's not identification. It's the license plate to the armored van across the street that they had, matching with his identification, the state. His identification's Louisiana. The armored van across the street is a New Orleans license plate.
Well, what do you make of it?
I am really not sure, but I guess going south as originally planned towards New Orleans is the direction.
Okay.
About this time, it's about this time that Father Wayland finds and hotwires his car. Nora, you're able to get in the passenger seat. You guys are planning, and you're taking Abe with you, who's still catatonic, planning on driving back to Cumberland.
Yeah. Just basically, we'll just as I'm leaving, we'll just sort of say to them, "Best of luck to you folks. You ever get down there? Just keep an eye out for a couple of, and you just write a couple of names down, and I hand on a piece of paper, and I hand it to Celeste, who's probably closest. Just maybe sometime you can give me a ping if that's ever possible, and just let me know if those folks, if you ever happen to run into them folks. Good day to you.
Oh. Try to. And greetings to the Cumberlands.
Thank you. And as I'm getting into the cab, as I'm just rolling down the window, I just say, "Oh, by the way, you ever run into the Lord Almighty? Compliment his appearance. He's a vain bastard. See you later." Just take off.
Nora, do you say goodbye? Does Nora do anything?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of roll the window down and kind of, hunch myself over and say it was a real pleasure meeting both of you, and I'd be really thankful that, and I turn to Celeste when I say this, I say I'd be really thankful that your brother is one of the ones on the good side, and roll up the window, be on my way.
Take care.
Take care, be safe.
I will say, if you unroll the paper, it says on it just Michael and Maeve Sloan.
Okay.
And they drive off towards Cumberland, Maryland. Celeste and Rutherford get in the armored van, and you're gonna go ahead and leave, headed south from Pittsburgh.
You take me with you, or did you leave me with Rutherford and Celeste?
Took you with us.
Yeah, we didn't know you wanted to go to New Orleans, I don't think.
Yeah, you're catatonic. You need to go to Cumberland where the hospital is.
Yeah, I figured you just came with us because he couldn't make a decision.
Abe to Cumberland as well. So they go east. And
so at some point, as they go east, Abe will fade out again, the same way he faded in. And you hear in your minds, long days and pleasant nights.
Oh, not another one. I've got so many people up here already.
So we'll leave this on two things as they're driving off. Abe disappears in the back. The two of you headed to Cumberland. Rutherford and Celeste, as you drive off to the south to continue your trek, the car lights, the headlights flicker, and the car stutters for a second and starts to stall out, and then it picks back up. Probably nothing. Abe, as you flicker out from the back of the other vehicle, you wake up in another car. It's nighttime. You're driving into the city of New Orleans. There's a presence beside you in the driver's seat. I'm very disappointed in you, Abe. I thought you would sit beside me and reign.
I had to protect them.
And then New Orleans explodes. And so do you. And that is how we will end today's episode.
Ooh.
Nothing foreboding
Ooh.
going on there.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh.
Thank you guys for joining us in this
Oh.
madness.
So cool.
So good.
So good.
Okay, so wow, here we are at the end. We have overrun a little, so let's do a slightly faster wrap up. If you guys could let us know where we can find you online, the things that you do, just very briefly, and what your favorite part was, that would be amazing. Meanwhile, I'll look for someone to raid. Let's go round reverse order. Let's start with Otherdoc.
Hey, I am Jim Ryan, or Otherdoc online. I am Otherdoc on Twitch and Twitter. I do games of various types on my channel, doing mostly one-shots. Next month, we're starting a series of Dirty Secrets to start with, as sort of a GMless-ish modern noir game as well. So I'm starting short campaigns of that, and then one-shots of things like Numenera, and also there will be a Call of Cthulhu one-shot, and BBTA one-shot, Bad Streets, Gritty Cop Drama. You can find information, sign-ups for various things at jimyesthatjim.com. This was a delight. It was awesome. I loved talking to God. That was great. That was an awesome scene. And then also, I think the bit that really got me was what's for dinner. That was amazing. It just sort of stabbed right to the heart and was awesome. I loved this. It felt I'm a fan of Garth Ennis and Preacher, so this kind of hit that spot for me. Excellent. Well done. Loved it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next around the screen, we have Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm Ozzy. I'm Carl Hammond on Twitter, where you can find out what I'm up to. On Tuesdays, we'll be starting in about 2 weeks' time. We'll be playing The Curse of Strahd on Capricorn Gross's channel. We're currently going through the Session Zeros. So each week we have a different character doing their character creation and setup. And yeah, I do a lot of things like this, appearing on other people's channel on one-shots and that sort of thing. And yeah, what I loved was that how Don just rolled with my wacky ideas I had for this character, and it was just more than I could have imagined. It was brilliant, just on the spot. So thank you very much, Don.
Thank you so much, Ozzy. Next around, we have With a Brick Ray. Oh, hi.
Hey. So I am Ray. I am With a Brick on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, just about anything. I am in the process of starting my own channel. So within the next upcoming weeks, I'm going to get some stuff moving and shaking, but be sure to follow me and stay kind of updated on that. It's my second time being on Scraticus, and I hope to do a couple more here, but I also run my own D&D homebrew game that I do play on live on my Facebook. So if anybody's interested, it's With a Brick on Facebook as well. So yeah, it's always great pleasure being on the channel and hanging out. And I really loved actually seeing some of my backstory, something, I kind of thought about my character come back in and, have an emotional connection with it. That was really cool because I don't ever see that happening too often. But I like that little moment of like the inner turmoil kind of, crazy illusion. But I had a great time and I love being here, and thanks for everybody for playing too. This is my first time playing Monsters of the Week and I had a great time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Pleasure to have you. Last of the players, excepting me, QTV, Vicky. Oh, hi.
Hi. It will take some time to get through and sort everything that happened. I think I loved the God moment the most because it was a nice, fun scene in all this madness and darkness. It was brilliant, both of you. And yeah, you can find me on cutie_v on Twitter, and you will see me back next Monday here at the same time with Strat and Don.
Hell yeah, thank you. Before we go to Don, my favourite part, I think, was possibly the moment when we met each other. Not when we met the child, but when we met each other, and we had that. It felt very much like The Walking Dead or something like that, when you meet strangers and you're just like, it was really cool. So I enjoyed that. Don.
Oh man, I had a blast. I love getting to play with you guys. You know, I've known some of you for a while, but Ozzy and Jim, I've not gotten to play with you. So much fun. I loved all of your characters. I love the wacky stuff. I love the normal stuff. I loved how grounded Nora was. Like, I love this the journalist aspect of it. You know, that she has her this entire backstory, and it's hard to get that into a one shot and do anything with it. But she embodied it throughout, and I thought that she helped keep Father Sloan and Abe grounded. I just thought the dynamic was so good, so I loved it. Yeah, I can't wait for next week. We'll half of the story that we started to tell this week, well, the other half will tell next week, and that's kind of how it goes. But you can follow me at Donathan Fry on Twitter. I am the DM for May Black Roses Bloom, which is a Dark Dragonlands campaign on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tales from the Grim on Twitch. It's a great game. I love doing it with those people. I love playing the game with those people. And I also write a bunch of D&D modules, adventures, materials, that sort of thing. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see a bunch of that. I just finished a new adventure. I think it might be my favorite that I've written so far. And that'll be coming out for a material module it's coming out in like a couple of months, but I'll post it on Twitter. You can pre-order it if you're interested in seeing my writing, and that's where you can find me. Scrat, thanks for having me. Can't wait for next week.
No, thank you so much. That does just leave me. I'm going to fly through my things today, so please check out all of these links. They've been popping up whilst we've been playing, so please just take the time to go and check them out. We very much appreciate it. Today we are going to go and raid an artist rather than a gamer. There's a lot of gamers live right now, so many that I can't choose, so I've decided to go for a different genre altogether. We're going to go and raid someone called Sleepy Mia, and I wonder if anyone has a raid cry for us going ahead. As I post all our links, you can see our social links there. We've got merch, Patreon, Bird and the Storm Publishing, and Dark Matter. All of those are great sponsors of ours. Below the screen, you'll also see some panels with 10 to 15% discounts for tabletoploot.com, ruinc.com, and arrestvad.com, so check those out as well. I'm not seeing a raid cry, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the raid. We'll just go across with... oh, there we go. Long days and pleasant nights. That'll do. That's perfect. Control-C. Yeah, I'm one of the people who talks when I do things. Or what's for dinner? Quick vote round chat. Votes for with a raised hand. Ray's already got her hand raised. There we go. What's for dinner? Raise your hands.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? Perfect. Okay, we'll switch to that. No problem.
It's so dark.
But no one knows it's
It
dark.
will never be a pleasant question ever again.
So let's get this raid cooling down now. If I can type today. Sometimes I can't. There we go. So the raid's cooling down now. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep on evoking emotions. We'll be back in an hour and a half with Eberron, the Mists of Sire, Alice's campaign. We should have a full cast today for the first time in a couple of weeks, so it's going to be amazing. Keep on evoking emotions. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Farewell.